Huting sighed and then said, "Several city masters think that our strength may be too weak, so they unite to break the light together, and then win the jade medal with their own ability. However, when they unite, they find that the more powerful the attack is, the more powerful the white light is, and this method finally fails." Hiss. A hiss suddenly comes from Yunwu's side, extremely clear, with strong irony. When Huting frowned, someone dared to show such an attitude in front of him, and suddenly looked at him with a bad look. The beautiful woman was looking ahead with a sarcastic look, and her lazy eyes swept around many city masters. But those who spoke in their own towns seemed to be unable to get into her eyes. Fire tongue in the heart, a surprised, know oneself just looked down upon this woman. Immediately put away dissatisfaction mood. Next, I heard the woman's sarcastic voice. "With these Wuzong boys, do you want to break the test of jade metal? Isn't it too much of a stretch? Is it so easy to get the inheritance of the tomb owner?" Huting's face was stiff. Hearing that, the woman seemed to know the grave very well. "What do you mean?" Miss Huting asked, with a respectful attitude, without the airs of the city master. Small 9 corners of the mouth a hook, but looked to the front of the cloud dance, eyes with a trace of inquiry. Yunwu nodded and motioned her to go on. Xiaojiu then said, "This jade card is the key to the inheritance. Ordinary people can really use brute force to break that layer of protection and get the jade card and the powerful energy in the jade card, but the energy in the jade card is too huge. If he does not leave before the tomb is closed, he can only be trapped in the tomb. If he is there before he left, he couldn't take the jade card out of the grave. Just like those babies in the ear room," Xiaojiu and Yunwu said before, so Yunwu could understand it, but Huting directly asked, "Why don't you take it out?" Small 9 white, he one-eyed, don't tell him the answer to the question, continue to say, "Only through the tomb test of talent can know the way to open the jade card. And through the tomb test is to get the tomb guardian beast recognition, become the next tomb owner. Before this, through the test of people are become inheritors. The guardian beast will tell the inheritor how to open it. The inheritor needs to use that method to open the 3-level test in the jade medal. If he doesn't open 1-level test, he can get a point of strength. Only if he passes all 3 levels can he really get the inheritance. As for other people who did not become inheritors but tried to get the jade medal, Little Nine's eyes flashed a touch of cunning. Just like I just said, either stay in the tomb forever or give up the jade card to leave the tomb. Firetinga listened, immediately disappointed a lot. Guardian beast? Inheritor? Where are they going to find the guardian animals? What's more, he doesn't know when the tomb will be closed. In that case, what if it is closed before the guardian beast is found? However, they have to use brute force to get the jade medal. Originally, only in this way can we have a fair and above-board life. Hualinger said thoughtfully. So it seems that her sister Yun is the inheritor. What's the test of becoming an inheritor? Where are the guardians? Huting asked with a last hope. Small 9, one pair of soft eyes, see toward Fire Tongue, looked up and down for a long time, finally had a twist, said, "Don't think. You can't become the inheritor. You are not the summoner. Even if you become an inheritor, the 3 tests of jade will not open for you." Huting is completely desperate. It turns out that it's still a summoner. Who can do that? Cloud Dance on one side made a final mending to him. Lil 9, what's the way to open the jade card? Well, let me see. Small 9 thoughtfully said. As long as the inheritor's blood drops on the white light, jade, since you meet the requirements of the Thunder System and Space System, it will automatically carry out 3 tests. Ray System and Space System. Huting is hit hard again. Even if the summoner wants to be a dual summoner, who can do that? But then I saw Cloud Dance, Light said. So simple. Huting was stunned. After he was sure that he had heard it right, he looked at Yunwu and said, "Miss Yun, it's easy to bleed, but the requirements of the dual summoner are not simple. If we are not summoners, we may be hit again." This word's several people around immediately look at the Fire Tongue as if looking at the monster. Even Hualinger. Fire Tongue for a moment, more muddled force. Am I wrong? Cloud Dance did not answer his words, but directly expressed with action. Turn your head and look at the dragon. Dragon Ching, evil mouth a hook, go, we are waiting. Yunwu nodded, then moved and walked towards the altar in the middle. Flint sending people over again. Cloud Dance just walked to the front of the team. Immediately a sharp-eyed person found her action. Isn't that the one who just came? It seems that I don't know the power of that thing. I want to go up and have a try. I don't know how far she will be hit this time. Hey, wait and see. She can't get it. The sound of discussion came from all directions, and almost all of them were waiting for the Cloud Dance to make a fool of themselves. In their opinion, they have tried all the methods. This newcomer is just going over the road they just walked. Young and frivolous. The Lord of Moose City looked at the figure of Cloud Dance and said coldly, "It seems that Hwitting is not so good to her. Didn't he tell her just now?" The people who followed on one side laughed at this. How could such a young woman really be impressed by Hwitting? How strong can she be? This remark is in the heart of the Lord of Moose City. At the moment, he looks at the man in praise, and then he is waiting for the next good play. Like everyone else, the dragon's evil spirits also have a sarcastic expression, but what they are sarcastic about is their ignorance. If you want to see Yunwoo's jokes, you have to have that ability. This Ling, who is Sister Yun, how could she have known the conditions of becoming an inheritor, but still rush through like this? Hwitting finally regained his intelligence quotient and asked Hwolinger, who had never spoken. Hwolinger was stunned. He tilted his head and thought about it. He didn't know whether he should say it or not. Don't ask any more questions. You'll know later. Small Nine Lazy said. On the surface, the clouds are light, but in my heart, I'm worried about whether Yunwoo can pass the test. I'm her summoner. If she can't pass the test, I'll stay in the grave. Moreover, she can't intervene in the test. Before the Cloud Dance said, so many benefits must also be able to get after passing the test. Hwitting looked at the lazy and coquettish woman and was silent. He had some idea in his heart and looked forward to Yunwoo's eyes. Finally, in the voices of the public, Yunwoo came to the center of the altar and raised his hand in the expectation of the public. There was a breath in, and everyone held their breath, waiting for what happened next. Yunwoo put his hand on the milky light, but he didn't catch the jade card abruptly. With a movement of heart, a wind element appears and turns into a tiny wind blade. A long and thin cut is made directly between them, and the red blood seeps out. What is she doing? Someone found something wrong and looked at Yunwoo's action as if he had confidence, which was totally different from the previous people. Master Mu's face sank down, and a bad premonition flashed in his heart. He felt that Yunwoo knew how to get the jade metal, but it was too late to stop it. That wipe exudes from the fingers of the bright red, and finally gathered into a drop toward the group of milky white light in the drop. Moose City Lord pupil suddenly shrinks. In the heart, not good premonition is too strong. Quickly shout. Fast stop her. Behind them, people rush forward, and people from other towns besides Flint took action at the same time. Go and help Miss Yun. Stop those people. The fire leaps at the right moment. The person behind is about to move. Small Nine languid voice spreads again. Need not, already did not need. Hwitting was surprised. On the altar, the bright red drops into the milky white light, and instantly dyed the light bright red. Then, just as before, the light bloomed again, but this time it was bright red. The whole square seemed to be dyed bright red, and those who tried to rush up to stop the Cloud Dance were blocked by the red light. As before, they were shot away again. This time, it was no longer the soft light that flew them. The red, with overwhelming domineering, mercilessly bumped them into the surrounding walls. Yunwoo turns her head slightly and looks at the dragon with a confident smile. Then, the red light envelopes her figure. The next moment, the figure of Cloud Dance disappeared on the altar. The light converged, the light returned to its former appearance, as if nothing had happened. But the original won by one of those standing in order of the team at this time, but fell to the ground, looking very embarrassed. Hwitting was even more shocked and murmured, "Originally, she's really the inheritor." Small Nine corners of the mouth, a hook, also seemed to feel very honored in general. Unknowingly, Yunwoo has become his real master. Damn it, the master of Moose City climbed up from the ground and looked at the altar where there was no one. Then, he rushed directly to the altar. No! Lord Mu wants to monopolize it. Don't let him rob it. On one side, someone reflected what the Lord wanted to do and rushed up. Moose City Master's mouth starts to sneer and wants to catch up with him. It's a dream. Unless hooding starts, none of the people present is his opponent. What if he can't fly directly? He runs faster than others. Fireting looked at the figure, hesitated to ask the side of the small nine. Do you want to stop him? Small nine sneer. He wants to die. Why want to stop him? Hearing this, Hooding felt relieved. Between that, Moose City Lord quickly felt beside the jade plate, also learning the appearance of Cloud Dance, drew a line on the palm, red blood dripping down into the light group. When the Lord of Moose City was looking forward to it, the red light broke out again. But it's not like the Cloud Dance before. This time, the light burst out and directly flew the Lord of Moose City. The red light mixed with space blades, as if to tear the Lord of Moose City to pieces. Lord Moo hastened to stir up the fighting resistance in his body, which made him feel better. But the red light is still attacking, and the barrier of fighting spirit seems to be unable to support for a long time. The Lord Moo's face is very ugly, so he has to retreat and resist with fighting spirit. Pudding looked at all this in shock. Those who have not become inheritors will be punished by the grave if they use this method. Small Nine coldly says. Fire Tongue, heart surprised, at the same time can't help but be glad that he and Cloud Dance stand in the same team. Otherwise, maybe he is now Moose City Lord's embarrassed appearance. Moose City Lord has been out of the scope of the square, and finally evaded the attack of the red light. When the red light completely disappeared, he came out again. At this time, he was very embarrassed. Where was the natural breeze in the past? His clothes were in a mess, and his hair was also in a mess. As soon as he appeared, all the people focused on him. The Lord of Moose City felt very shameful. This tomb is not so simple. He lost face twice in a day in this square. He wanted to tear down this place, but he knew that he didn't have that ability, so he had to swallow his pride. With the leader of Moose City, other people who wanted to go up to have a try also stopped and looked at the altar. Their eyes were full of pity. Why can that little girl go in? Can't we? Someone asked doubtfully. Is there any special requirement? People's eyes were on the Lord Mu again, as if they were thinking about the difference between him and Yunwu. The Lord of Moose City felt the sight and became more angry. But the team in Huasher Town has never said anything from the beginning to the end, and Huoding just avoided talking about some people's routine. Fire, you want to monopolize that jade? There's no way. I don't believe you don't know how to get in, Moose City Lord said coldly. The Fire Tongue White he one eye, the small nine of one side, is but can't help. Save it. What's the use of knowing the way? Only the summoner can enter the jade card space, and the purpose of blood dripping is to verify whether he is a summoner or not. As soon as Xiao Jio's words came out, the others were silent. What? I know it now. Does it work? The Lord of Moose City didn't give up. Who are you? Don't talk nonsense here. The summoner doesn't exist for a long time. Why can the woman go in? Do you want to say she's a summoner? Xiaoju looked at him like an idiot. Isn't the summoner obvious? There was an uproar. How can it be? Don't talk nonsense, you woman. How could she be a summoner when she was so young? Yes. Summoners don't exist long ago. How can you be so clear about this grave? Do you know anything else? Speak up. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude to you. In the face of the temptation of the treasure, people can't bear it any longer. At this time, when they see little Nine like this, they immediately have her idea. Small Nine eyebrows are wrinkly. One step forward, cold vision swept all people. Cold voice rang out. Why do I know? I'll tell you now. After that, the huge nine tail suddenly spread out behind him, and the powerful momentum swept directly towards the crowd. This time, Small Nine directly opened Nine Tail of Prestige. From the ancient momentum pressure, all people are breathless. All people are shocked to look at her. This the beast. The main shock of Muching looked at the huge tail behind Xiaojiu, almost thinking that he was dreaming. She is the summoner of the Tomb Master. Someone found out the identity of Xiaojiu. Is it not obvious that you can have such a powerful force and be a god beast? Oh! Small Nine sneer. The voice is surprisingly cool. You want to know how to enter the Jade brand space? Then come on. I'll tell you if you win. In the forest. The whole team has been disabled, countless, dead and injured. Just a simple escort task, unexpectedly involved in so many lives. Sidolan turned to look at the old man who was covered with blood. Etion is definitely not a good man. He conceals that such a task is a very simple one. Looking at the tragedy in front of him, Situlan frowns, puts away his sword, and turns to the parking place. There are not many people left in the motorcade. When the sun rises completely, the whole forest is in a mess, with blood splashing everywhere and scarlet. This makes Etion's face pale, and he almost falls down. He is supported by the bodyguard and sits on the side of the carriage. Most of the horses in the motorcade were also killed by wolves, and only a few of them were still surviving. They were very pitiful. I'm afraid it's a heavy loss this time. Etion sighed helplessly and turned to see Situlan with a bitter smile. I'm afraid the commission can't be cashed. No harm. Situlan waved his hand with a smile. Originally, I came out just to spread my mind and see. After all, money is only the second. After hearing this, Etion was relieved and patted Situlan on the shoulder with a smile. He turned his head and looked at the wounded and the disabled horses around him. He was sad. I've been in the mercenary business all my life, but I've been defeated in such a simple commission. After listening to him, Situlan was silent. He took out some of his dry food and gave him some. He turned to see the way he came and said, I'm afraid we can only go back the same way. Etion is very unwilling to look at the road when he comes. He seems to have a bad taste in his heart and frowns. So there is no way a group of scattered can only go in the direction of the coming. It was in the afternoon, but the forest was not hot at all, and there was a light shade, so people around felt very comfortable. But Situlan felt very bad. He felt as if there was something around him. Although the wolves had left, they were still in a very unsafe situation. Etion didn't seem to feel it at all. On the way, he turned his head and stared at Situlan for a long time. Then he said slowly, Little brother, when recruiting you, I just know you're not local, but I don't know where you come from. Situlan in the heart a burst of wry smile. Shake head away. I am by inexplicable transmission hereof, and friend walk away. Etion nodded clearly and looked up and down at Situlan. He looked gentle and handsome. He seemed to have good self-cultivation and felt that he should be a profitable man. Thinking about this, he asked curiously, I don't know why you want to recruit, young Xia? Just to come out and relax. Situlan looked around him. There must be something following him in the scenery around him, but it was too fast for him to notice. Suddenly, a dark shadow passed by. Situlan didn't respond at all, so he heard his clothes hiss and was cut a big hole. Suddenly, his chest hurt deeply, and the blood flowed out along the wound and dyed his clothes red. What is it? The bodyguard and Etion around them were so scared that they didn't even see clearly. The people around them all yelled, terrified and talking. But Situlan was bitten by the wolf and dragged towards the forest. The teeth were deeply embedded in the meat, which made Situlan unable to break free. He beat the wolf's head with his fists wrapped with fighting spirit, but the wolf seemed unable to feel it. He continued to run forward. Situlan, who was dragged on the ground, was scarred all over. Etion stood in the crowd, looking at the direction of Situlan being taken away. Pondering for a long time, coldly said, We retreat. Ah, boss. Why? Why did you withdraw? The young people around are anxiously looking at Etion and watching a man being taken away. They don't go to save people and let them run away directly, which is not in line with the quality of mercenaries. A few people protested to Etion, but the boss's order was too much. At last, no one dared to refute. They took back their swords and went home, only to find that they had gone deep into the forest. Situlan was taken to the forest and lost his way, but the wolf was still flying forward and didn't seem to stop. But Situlan was dizzy, covered with blood, and his clothes were in tatters. Beating the wolf's head ceaselessly, the wolf's head is bleeding, but it never let go. Obviously, among the wolves killed by itself, there are its children, so it is crazy. The long sword in his hand hindered his action, so that Sidolan could only rely on the hilt. But the power of the hilt was too small. Suddenly he had an idea. He put his legs around the wolf's neck. He gritted his teeth and endured the pain of the wound on his shoulder. He twisted his body. He held the wolf's neck in one hand and stabbed the wolf's stomach with a sword in the other. The long sword makes the wolf's belly open. The wolf is more angry, suddenly shakes his head, mercilessly throws Sidolan forward. Sidolan was thrown out for a long time and fell to the ground. He turned several somersaults before stopping. Gasping heavily, he wrapped his fighting spirit around his sword and stabbed at the wolf head. The wolf had red eyes, looked at Sidolan's hoarse grin, saliva dripping down, with blood, bowed body, mouth issued a thread of low roar. Looking around, Sidolan was confused. He didn't know where he was. He gasped for breath and faced the monster in front of him. One man and one beast fell into a confrontation. No one dared to act rashly. The wolf's stomach is full of blood. It seems that there are intestines flowing out of it. The sword just now seems to do a lot of damage to the wolf, but it can't do it. Thinking about this, Sidolan was not only relieved, but suddenly saw the wolf raise his head and howl at the sky. That long voice, through the jungle, came the echo, which made Sidolan feel uneasy. This should be a wolf. Now it's going to die, so it's calling its companion to help itself. It seems that it will not give up until it dies today. Sure enough, soon, there was a large-scale running sound in the forest, running in one direction from all directions. Listening to the cries around, Sidolan's face was like ashes. He raised his hand to chop the wolf to death. Seeing that there was no wolf coming, he sat down with his knees crossed and adjusted his luck. The sense organs were rapidly patrolling in the body and could not see the feeling of breaking through, which made Sidolan very troubled. On the one hand, he quickly repaired the injury of the meridians in the body, and on the other hand, he was wary of sensing everything in the forest. Countless wolves had gathered around him, wandering not far away, but they did not dare to move forward because Sidolan's aura was too strong. However, wolves are social animals after all. There are more and more wolves around, and they are ready to move at last. All the wolves began to gather together, in groups, slowly surrounded by Sidolan. Sidolan took a deep breath, quickly collected his breath, and quickened his pace to relieve the injury in his body. All of a sudden, a huge wolf sprang out of his side and suddenly tore at Sidolan. Sidolan quickly stood up and took up the long sword to stab the wolf. The wolf's momentum was so fierce that it couldn't stop at all. The hot blood ran through Sidolan's face, but the wolf's eyes were red, and he bit at Sidolan's neck. Sidolan quickly sidestepped to dodge and rode the sword forward. Just listen to the wolf howl, plop down to the ground. Sidolan turned around, saw behind countless wolves, toward himself. In my heart, I knew that the mercenary team I was following had abandoned me. I couldn't help laughing bitterly. It's really a double whammy. But think about it, so many people's realm is too low, they have no way to protect them. Maybe just a person like themselves can still be alone. Shaking off the blood on the sword, Sidolan wiped the blood on his face, turned around, and stabbed the wolf next to him. Suddenly, there was a howl. But behind him, a wolf bit Sidolan's leg hard and made him stagger and fall to the ground. His leg was bloody, and he couldn't help shaking. These wolves were too difficult to deal with. Just thinking about it, countless wolves suddenly appeared in front of him. Almost at the same time, he rushed towards Sidolan. Countless wolves attacked from front to back, left and right, which made Sidolan unable to fight. He was suddenly knocked down by a wolf. The other wolves took the opportunity to come and bite. A white light flashed from his side, but Sidolan didn't see clearly. Countless wolves all flew out. A man suddenly appeared around him, blocking himself behind him and fighting back the surrounding wolves. The man was dressed in white and looked like a scholar, but his power was amazing. As soon as the sword was thrown, there was a blood light on the ground, and the wolf's body had fallen to the ground. He turned his head to see Sidolan, and his expression was indifferent. "You really survived?" He cut off a wolf, turned around, and pulled up Sidolan. "Shaoran?" Sidolan was surprised. The boy had been full of hostility to himself, and suddenly became his savior, which made him a little flattered. "I'm not going to save you." Xiao Ran stood in front of Situ Lan's body, gritting his teeth, and his pretty face was full of disdain and helplessness. "If Sister Huan Xiang didn't let me come here, I'd be too lazy to come here. You'd better die in this forest." Situ Lan had no choice but to smile bitterly. He was really a child with a bad temper, but he couldn't stand up at all because he was bitten by a wolf at this time, so he had to sit on the ground and use his luck to heal. "Sister Huanxiang told you to go back quickly," Xiao Ran suddenly said, back to Situ Lan. "Can't hear the feelings." "What happened?" Situ Lan casually asked, closed his eyes, carefully adjusted his breath, but suddenly heard the person in front of him say, "Yes, Winge Island has been split." Situ Lan was shocked suddenly in his heart. He opened his eyes in surprise and said, "What did you say? How could it be in just a few days when I came out? So many things happened inside the island." Situ Lan was very surprised and felt that there was no big problem with his body. Then he stood up, holding a long sword, and Xiao ran back to back, defending the wolves flying up in front of him. Although Winge Island has always been maintained by the Magic Fragrance Sister, many different factions still very much hope that Winge Island will change its ownership. Xiao Ran said solemnly, raising his hand to cut off a wolf's head, shaking the blood on the sword, frowning again, and repeating the previous action. Now the Magic Fragrance Elder Sister doesn't know who's poisoned. Now the situation is very urgent. The Magic Fragrance Elder Sister says that your realm is higher than us. You can help us. Help you? Situ Lan looked at these terrible wolves in front of him. Now I'm afraid I can't protect myself. I have to help you. I really look up to myself. With this in mind, the two people began to slaughter the wolves in a continuous cycle until the blood was already flowing in front of them. "I said you, boy." Xiao Ran frowned and said, "We are so kind to you. I believe you are not a person who does not know how to repay your kindness." The boy named Xiaoran didn't like to hear what he said. Situ Lan thought so, but he didn't retort. He just said, "Let's escape first." Xiao Ran turned his head and glanced at him. He didn't retort, but said, "Where's the team you followed these days?" "They?" Situ Lan lowered his head and gave a bitter smile. "They abandoned me and ran for my life." Xiao Ran in front of him looked at Situ Lan silently and said, "Then they lost their way and were killed by wolves in the forest." Situ Lan was very surprised, but he didn't say anything. They were calm together to deal with the wolves. "But we can't deal with wolves like this," Situ Lan said. "After all, there are so many wolves in the forest that it's impossible to kill them. I'm afraid they will die in the end. So come with me later. I know where to get out of here." Xiao Ran said they killed a lot of wolves, and then they left quickly along the same road. However, the wolves were chasing behind, and even in front of them. The two almost sped forward. "Where are we now? And how far is it from the center of the island of Wingo?" Situ Lan asked, galloping forward, trying to feel the state of the man before. But he was stunned. Was this man's state higher than himself? And he could not feel it, which surprised Situ Lan. "We are still far from the center of the island, half an island away." Xiao Ran didn't look at Situ Lan and said, "Before I knew it, I was carried so far by the wolf. I couldn't help feeling funny. Suddenly I remembered that at the critical moment just now, Xiao Ran told himself that he was poisoned by magic incense. He immediately became serious. "You said before that you were poisoned by magic incense?" Xiao Ran turned his head and glanced at Situ Lan with disdain. He said faintly, "You finally remember. I thought you didn't care at all. How can we ignore the kindness of saving lives?" Situ Lan raised his hand and cut off a wolf's head, but he was taken 2 steps, almost fell down, gasped for breath, and his face was pale. "What's the matter? You tell me the details." It turns out that he was very sad to see Situ Lan leave the city with the mercenary team from Huanxiang that day. But in order to protect Situ Lan, plus some of his own selfish desires, he sent someone to follow and monitor Situ Lan. But no one thought that that night, the little maid from Magic Fragrance poisoned the food. And this little maid has been doing her best to assist from the Magic Fragrance side. Also from the Magic Fragrance from the outside back to raise the child, so from the Magic Fragrance is very at ease. But no one could have imagined that this girl was Chung Chonglao, the tribe of the tribe, who was placed in the eyeliner from the magic fragrance. The sudden damage scares Chuang Xiang. Then it comes out that Elder Chung has begun to lead a large army and attack his own forces. The most unexpected thing is that he has a strong private army. On the other side, in the square, some people finally realized that they could not get the jade medal. Looking at the small 9 with 9 tails in front of her, there was only panic in her heart. Even Machengzu is no exception. Mingming always stands at the commanding height. For the first time, he feels that he is so small. The next moment, the powerful 9 tail suddenly closed, and the pressure in the air also dispersed, as if what just happened was just a dream. It's just that the graceful figure standing in front of the team in Huasher Town reminds everyone that everything just now is not an illusion. Now, do you have any questions? Xiao Jiu's lazy voice rang out. In fact, after being contracted by Yunwu, Xiao Jiu's strength was compressed in the realm of Emperor Wu. But at least it was also a supernatural beast in ancient times. There was still some pressure from the supernatural beast. After 9 tails, the pressure would come out without any disguise, so as to achieve the present effect. This time, no one raised any objection. Small 9 Koldhame turned to walk back to the team of Flint Town. Had it not been for her strength and prestige not to match and not to be seen, she would have done it long ago. In addition to Flint Town, people in the square could not help looking at each other. And finally someone quietly left the square. They all have the same idea. Since they can't get the jade medal, they should hurry to search some treasures in other ear rooms of the tombs. It's also a worthwhile trip. One person left, followed by a second person, and eventually more and more even left the majority. In addition to some people who are still trying to get some benefits when the cloud dance appears, others have all retreated. Lord, people around the master of Moose City asked carefully. Stay. The master of Moose City gritted his teeth and said, I don't believe it. That cloud dance just depends on the identity of the summoner. When she comes out, she will kill him. The jade medal is still ours. As soon as Machengzu's words were finished, the people behind him could not help shivering. It was obvious that they were taboo about Xiaojiu's coercion, but because of Machengzu's means, they could only stay obediently. On the other hand, Huading directly listened to Xiaojiu's words and knew that it was useless to search, so he simply ordered to go down and let everyone rush to the square to guard against the killers in Yulin Town at any time. There was chaos outside, but Yunwu and the test didn't know anything. From the beginning of being shrouded by the red light, Yunwu felt as if she had entered a unique space, surrounded by a very comfortable atmosphere, which was wrapped by strong wind elements and space elements. In this space, Yunwu feels that her body sucks those 2 elements fast. What the hell is this? Is it the benefit of the tomb owner's stay? Cloud Dance is thinking in the heart. Although the owner of this tomb is really generous to his inheritors, it seems that he knows from leaving so many good things and not letting others take them away. But similarly, thinking of all kinds of secret weapons along the way, Yunwu can better understand the strict requirements of the tomb owner for the next inheritor. For such a big benefit, the next test will not be abnormal, will it? Cloud Dance mumbled a sentence. Clinker, just after this sentence, another voice suddenly appeared in the void space. It's really a smart little girl. Xiao Jiu has found me a good successor. He is broad-minded and full of zhongqi. Let people just listen to the voice. The mind came up with a kind-hearted old man. Cloud Dance alung. Immediately look around. Who? Little girl, vigilance is good. Is the brain turns not fast enough? That voice sounded again, accompanied by tut-tut too. But at least you are also the summoner of the whole department, and you have fighting spirit, which is very good. You can make up for this shortcoming. At this time, Yunwu finally understood that the source of the voice is not others. It is the owner of the tomb. You are the master here? Aren't you dead? Although it is a question sentence, but it is a positive tone. Yunwu is very sure about these 2 points. Haha, now it doesn't look stupid. That voice rings out again. Small 9, that Winchpoor also can choose a person for me. Unexpectedly chose a whole department summoner for me. Also don't know me to hurt her in the weekdays. Cloud Dance curled his lips and said in his heart, Your little 9 doesn't like me very much. Now that you have let me know your existence, why don't you show up? Cloud Dance asked. I don't have much energy left. Now is not the time to show up. Only when I really become my successor can I be qualified to see me. Now just listen to me. The voice continued, and there was no surprise because Yunwoo was the summoner of the whole department. From now on, you will be faced with 3 experiments. These 3 experiments are not difficult, but they are not simple because you are still restricted by the prohibition of this tomb. Under this prohibition, maximize your strength and wisdom. I have left you many gifts, waiting for you to become the successor. Cloud Dance pursed her lips, waiting for the voice to disappear, did not say a word to retain. Because I know that the voice is just a wisp of consciousness left by the owner of this tomb. I can say what I should say, and I can't say what I shouldn't say. Next, I'd better think about how to face this experiment in front of a soft light. Followed by Cloud Dance, you will find that the environment around you suddenly brightens up. The group of soft white light disappeared, and then appeared in front of the endless grassland. On the grassland, a lonely, occasionally breeze blowing bursts of wind. There is a faint rumble from the distance. This is the sound of the herd? Yunwoo was slightly surprised. He took the sword in his hand and carefully identified the direction of the sound. He was ready to defend at any time. Sure enough, but a moment, in front of the dust, a dark piece of warcraft will continue to run toward the clouds, because the grassland is flat, so far away you can see. Yunwoo raised her ears and listened carefully. It seems that there are more than one group. That said, the other 4 directions also suddenly appeared a large number of warcraft group, and the first batch of the same has been running towards the cloud. Yunwoo squinted, looked at the herds from all directions, and murmured, It seems that the test this time is these herds. Ferocious herds came from all directions, with the ferocity of tearing the clouds to pieces. The footsteps of the herds roared, mixed with tens of thousands of heavy gasps. Just from the momentum, it gives people a strong pressure. Yunwoo clenched the sword in his hand and squinted at the front. With a hook in the corner of his mouth, he didn't wait for the herd to arrive and rushed forward. Even with the suppression of the tomb, her speed is still very fast. With this move, she instantly shortens the distance between herself and the herd in front of her. Originally should be located in the center of the herd in all directions, she instantly disrupted the speed of the herd, so that the center of gravity of the whole encirclement circle shifted with her. But Yunwoo didn't care about the warcraft around her. Her eyes were burning with a strong sense of war. She only saw the warcraft in front of her, which was the size of an elephant, but looked like a rhinoceros. The speed of Cloud Dance reached the extreme, and it directly flashed to the nearest warcraft. The black flame, sword on the hand, flickered, and the black flame kept jumping on it. When the hand picked up the knife, it directly wiped to the neck of the warcraft. Why? Cloud Dance light. Some surprise saw the place that oneself start a hand, one eye. With the sharpness of the ancient sword, it's natural to deal with warcraft. But now this warcraft, his knife has been really wiped on its neck, but only left a not deep trace. This warcraft. Cloud Dance looked at it carefully. Before he had time to take a close look, he suddenly threw a slender tail from behind, which was as fast as lightning. Cloud Dance quickly turned over and jumped to the back of another warcraft, and then found that the warcraft she stepped on looked like a platypus. Now, Yunwoo finally understands what is the key to this battle. The difficulty is not to kill these warcraft, but to quickly distinguish the weakness of these warcraft when fighting, and find the way to deal with them with the fastest speed. For a moment, Yunwoo felt that the owner of the tomb was really well-intentioned. If I can get through this, I'm afraid that my judgment and combat effectiveness will be improved a lot in the future. And the number of these herds is so large, their physical fitness will also be trained. Since it's a stepping stone, I'll take it in politely. Cloud danced the corner of mouth, a hook, cold voice says. Although his mouth is not polite, he has been cautious in his heart for a long time. He quickly identifies the weaknesses of each warcraft and improves his own speed to the extreme. He starts to kill each warcraft under his own knife. Big and slow warcraft often have high defense, so Cloud Dance will directly destroy their eyes, focus on their joints, and waste their mobility. For fast and weak warcraft, Cloud Dance will directly fight in close quarters. Each kind of warcraft Cloud Dance has the right medicine to the case, and the effect is really excellent when fighting. The world's martial arts only fast. Yunwu found himself more and more handy in the battle. The overwhelming herd almost drowned the clouds, and all the warcraft rushed to the most central place like a whirlpool. However, all the warcraft seemed to enter the meat grinder, and soon became corpses. Despite this, there are still countless herds here to see death as if at home. The speed of Cloud Dance battle is faster and faster. More and more warcraft are falling around, and more kinds of warcraft are seen. At first, it was a little hard to deal with. Later, there was no problem in dealing with these warcraft. Yunwu had more time to think about it. They're all warcraft that I haven't seen before. It seems that they came from ancient times. Cloud Dance thought in the heart. The strength and insight displayed by the owner of the tomb were so huge that she even began to look forward to what good things the owner of the tomb had left to her heirs. The battle is still going on. Yunwu seems to be killing the warcraft around him. Piles of corpses appear on the grassland. Only when Yunwu doesn't listen can he change his position to make a vacancy around him. After the battle, Yunwu looked around and found that the number of warcraft around him was still increasing. In the distance, it seemed that there were warcraft coming here. Why so much? Yunwu frowned. If we say that these warcraft are all the warcraft spirits collected by the tomb owner, how can they be so many? If it's a mirage, but the current scene doesn't look like a mirage at all. Yunwu reminds herself to have a try and find that everything is true. There must be other ways to crack this level. Cloud Dance says with squinting eyes. Thinking constantly in the mind, the action on the hand is nonstop, still constantly killing groups of warcraft. All of a sudden, Yunwu seemed to find something and looked around. Although there are many kinds of warcraft around, they all look the same size as ordinary animals. And there is no such huge existence as Little Stink. Yunwu guessed that maybe it was because the tomb owner deliberately controlled it, and no matter how you look at it, there are only 4 kinds of warcraft. The 4 categories are elephant, snake, bird, and cat. Most of the elephants are different in appearance, but they are the same size as elephants. They look like warcraft hybridized by elephants and other races. They are slow, have brute force, and strong defense. Snakes are mostly poisonous. Birds include all kinds of birds, ranging from cranes and peacocks to chickens, ducks, and geese. The attack is not strong, but very fast. Finally, cats, tigers, leopards, jackals all have, the speed is average, but the attack is very strong. They seem to attack in a disorderly way, but it seems that each warcraft has its own task, and each time it surrounds a cloud, there are basically 4 warcraft, which just occupy the 4 categories. Do they still have a leader? Yunwu thought, squinting. Then Speed sighed, directly toward the front dare to go. All the way to meet the attack is not in a hurry to kill them. In the protection of their own, at the same time fly fast toward the front, in the eyes of what is searching around. There must be something strange, there must be. Cloud Dance in the heart affirms of say. Finally, in the field of vision of Cloud Dance, we finally found something different. That is as like as 2 peas. The animal is bigger than the warcraft beside us. It is even bigger than the biggest elephant seen by the Cloud Dance. It looks exactly like a wild elephant. Compared with those who looked like hybrids before, this one is obviously more pure. I found it at last. Cloud Dance mouthed a hook. Without hesitation toward the biggest warcraft rushed. In the twinkling of an eye, it was in front of the warcraft. It seems that warcraft didn't expect the cloud ball to rush directly in front of him. Unexpectedly, Yunwu jumped directly on himself, and the pride of the king came out of him. Yunwu's move directly aroused his anger. A roar rang out. At the same time, the warcraft 2 front feet heavily raised, in an attempt to Cloud Dance from the back down. The figure of Cloud Dance is very weak compared with this warcraft. Well, you want to kill me? Dream with a cold hum of Cloud Dance and a lift of his left hand. The 5 color elements are directly condensed into a dagger with a peculiar shape in his hand. The blade of the dagger is curved and looks like a barb, and the tip of the dagger is shining. Then, Yunwu thrust the dagger into the body of Warcraft. The sharpness of the dagger, made of 5 elements, is comparable to that of the ancient sword. Although the barb can't cause too deep wound when it pierces into the body of Warcraft, it is directly hooked on the back of Warcraft because of its peculiar shape. Warcraft roared, as if suffering from great pain. His feet fell heavily on the ground, causing a strong shock. Taking advantage of this moment, Yunwu turns his right hand and puts the black flame sword away directly. Then, he turns over and jumps directly to the head of Warcraft. The fire element of his right hand turns into a dagger and directly inserts it into the eyes of Warcraft. Originally suffered the huge pain of Warcraft at this time more unbearable. Scream up! Around the Warcraft who see this look, rushed up to help the king. Although Yunwu is fighting with the king of beasts, he doesn't forget to observe the surrounding environment. When he sees the Warcraft coming up, he immediately reacts and jumps to avoid. In the end, no attack falls on him. However, the attack on her hand was never stopped. Hands constantly rolling, leaving scars on the body of the Warcraft. Every joint is abandoned by the cloud dance. First the limbs, then the spine, and finally the head. When the Beast King had no backhand power, Yunwu directly condensed the 6 elements together, turned them into a slender dagger, and inserted them directly into the top of the Beast King's head. Another roar, but this time it was the cry of death. The King of Beasts wailed and finally fell heavily on the ground. A circle of Warcraft around him retreated one after another. The weapon on the top of the Beast King's head was then transformed into 6 elements and dispersed. A king of beasts fell down, and the elephant Warcraft in the herd scattered one after another. Without the king's command, they did not need to continue to attack. One solved, Cloud Dance looks at the fallen Beast King and says coldly. Then, without waiting for other Warcraft's attack to arrive, he rushed directly to the next direction. She knew that she had to wipe out all the King of Beasts one after another, and that was the only way to pass. As Yunwu expected, there are 4 Beast Kings here. When the last Warcraft that looks like a phoenix falls down, the last Warcraft on the grassland also disperses. How did it come from at first? Now it disperses along the same way. Yunwu stands in front of Qingshan's corpse, panting slightly, and doesn't go to catch up to see how these Warcraft come from and why there are so many. The next moment, the scene in front of a conversion, it once again returned to the original soft white environment. Yunwu originally looked around with some expectation, but then the voice rang again. Don't look. I just passed the first level, but I'm not qualified to see you. It's still a kind voice and tone, but I don't know why. It sounds like Yunwu still wants to beat him. Cloud Dance curled his mouth and felt his physical strength recovering in the soft, white light around him. Not only that, their own consumption of power is also rapidly recovering. I didn't expect that you were very smart. I thought you would not know the level until you killed all the Warcraft. The voice said approvingly. But then the tone changed. But it's nothing. After all, it's the simplest of the 3 levels. If you want to be my successor, you can't do it with such a little ability. What was the first level just now? How can there be so many Warcraft? Can't you cultivate them all by yourself for such a long time? Cloud Dance asks curiously. You can't see that. The voice was quite proud and said, you can't cultivate so many Warcraft by yourself, even if it takes a long time. Don't you see that there are endless Warcraft? Cloud Dance frowned. It's not self-cultivation. Is it you grasp it? Otherwise is that grassland just a mirage? It's not a mirage. The voice said, it's half an illusion at most. Half a mirage? Cloud Dance frowned. What do you mean? That space is an independent space made by me using space elements. Although it looks endless, there are still borders, even less than 1/10 of the size of the world you live in. And those Warcraft are using a treasure called Yin-Yang Mirror. As long as you put the 4 Beast Kings in it, you can constantly copy the same kind of Warcraft as the Beast King, and then let them hybridize with each other. Finally, there are more and more kinds of Warcraft. What's more, I have copied some Warcraft from other places and put them in copy Cloud Dance is quite surprised to say, "Unexpectedly still have such thing? Can you replicate living things?" Naturally, the voice said, "It's just that the things copied by this mirror are more discounted than the main ones, whether it's body shape or strength, so it's so easy for you to fight. I will put the yin and yang mirror into the space. You can see the nature is endless, a steady stream of warcraft. As for those you kill, don't worry. Soon, the mirror will copy them and become the new king of beasts." Yunwu's eyes are brighter. After listening to this person's introduction, Yunwu is very interested in the yin-yang mirror. If she can become the inheritor, then the yin-yang mirror will be her own. "Girl, don't patronize the surprise. I have high requirements for inheritors. If you can't get through it, you can't get my things." The voice seemed to see the Cloud Dance mind. Can't help but say. Cloud danced to the front of the voice source, white one eye said, "Your request is very high, but he has been hiding from no one." Ha ha ha. The voice seemed to be amused and gave out a hearty laugh. "Well, since you want to see me so much, I will promise you. If you can pass the following level, I will let you see me in the third level." Cloud Dance eyebrows slightly pick. Originally just casual talk, clinker this person really should. But then, what he said surprised Yunwu. "Girl, you must still have some people in your heart." The voice suddenly became serious, as if to see through the psychology of Cloud Dance. The Cloud Dance's alung. In the mind immediately emerged Shangwan, Nangong, etc. figure. "I've been looking for them all these days. If I care about them most, it's them. But what does this have to do with breaking through the barriers? In one's life, there are many hurdles to pass. The hurdle you break now may also be the hurdle you want to pass in your life." The sound was long. Yunwu frowned and couldn't understand what it meant. "What do you mean by that?" The voice did not answer, but still said, "If you want to be a real hero, you can't just rely on brute force. At the critical moment, you have to have love and righteousness. If you have love and righteousness, you will be a real hero. If you have no love and righteousness, even if you are famous forever, you are just a generation of heroes. After you die, you don't know what future generations will talk about you. What are you trying to say? Why are you talking about other people?" Cloud Dancem urgently asked away. The man seemed to have finished what he wanted to say at last. After a moment's silence, he finally said, "When you pass the second level, you will understand. The second test is the word emotion." The sound gradually lengthened and finally slowly dissipated, and the soft white light around changed again. Cloud danced in front of a sudden fog. Let her can't help covering her eyes with her hands, eyebrows slightly wrinkled, until in front of a gust of wind, the thick fog blown away. This will be in front of all see clearly. But the scene in front of her suddenly changed her face. In front of us is a desolate battlefield with broken walls and ruins. The sound of wailing is full of ears. Cloud Dance sees that there are still a few people fighting, and the blood has dyed the sand on the ground. Every step seems to feel the cry and cry of the dead. This made her clench her teeth and walk towards the place with blood and smoke in front of her with Guwu's sword. Blood-red shoes, fishy sweet taste instantly pierced the senses. Let her eyes are red, almost retching. But she took a deep breath and stifled the surging in her stomach. Her eyes were red. Who made such a terrible battlefield? Little dance. Around, suddenly came a very familiar voice. Let Cloud dance suddenly along, back to God. Behind him, in the middle of a piece of blood and body, a bloody thing suddenly moved. Let Cloud dance heart sink. Who is this person? I know myself. Hurried forward, but saw that the bloody man, grinning at her. Although I couldn't move, I looked very happy. Xiao Wu, Kiki, I didn't expect to see you again before I died. Then he coughed up a big mouthful of blood. Cloud Dance is greatly surprised. Quickly squat down. Ming Bai. How could it be like this? Finally see clearly, originally this poor and dead person heap. Whole body is stained with blood. Completely can't see the face of person. Unexpectedly is Meng Bai. This let Cloud Dance in the heart a burst of anxious. quickly pulled Meng Bai's hand, while a fighting spirit into Meng Bai's body. Suddenly, his face was even whiter, and his broken meridians were already unable to return to heaven. How could this happen? Xiao Wu, don't go any further. Meng Bai tightly holds Yunwu's hand. His broken body has made his hands tremble powerlessly, but he smiles and is very happy. Anyway, it's so good to see you. Don't go any further. I keep my last breath. I know you will find us and want to tell you the danger ahead. Frowning, Cloud Dance pursed her lips and looked at Meng Bai. Her sad voice was hoarse. You mean, since you and I separated, you were sent here? We met by chance around here, but then we went to hell. Meng Baishan laughed and coughed up another mouthful of blood. It seemed that there were still internal organs in the blood. His breath began to float up gradually, and his face was suddenly gray. Where is this, and why is it like this? Cloud Dance looked at the front of a smoke filled with hazy battlefield, did not understand how this is going on. Don't go there, please. Meng Bai's voice suddenly became smaller, and then his eyes were in a trance. Suddenly, he tilted his head and lost his voice. Yunwu's heart suddenly seemed to be bombed, and a burst of unspeakable sadness and anger suddenly made her bloody. He quietly puts Meng Bai's body on the ground from the corpse pile. Yunwu grits his teeth and holds back the tears that are about to gush. He holds Guwu's sword tightly and walks forward. In front of him, a group of familiar figures in black suddenly appeared in front of Yunwu, which made Yunwu's face suddenly changed. It turned out that they were from Wanwoman. Gritting his teeth, he picked up the big knife and ran towards a team of people and horses in the Beast Gate. In front of the people of the Beast Gate, it seems that they didn't put her in their eyes at all, but one of them turned around and clapped at Yunwu. Suddenly, Yunwu felt that his chest hurt as if he had been hit by a huge stone, and his whole face turned pale. Suddenly, a pair of hands around her grasped her arm. Suddenly surprised, Yunwu almost did not hesitate to lift the hand of Guwu Degeo toward the hand's cut. But suddenly I heard a weak voice beside me, with smile and pain, trembling and saying, Xiao Wu, it's me. Cloud Dance almost collapsed. This person is not Shangguan, or who? He quickly stopped the sword, and without saying a word, he took Shangguan's hand and filled it with fighting spirit. Shangguan's mouth burst out with blood. He gritted his teeth and held Yunwu's hand in his backhand. He said, Xiao Wu, don't waste your strength. I can't do it anymore. Yunwu pursed her mouth, and her dry eyes almost burst into tears. Seeing her good friend like this, she couldn't help but control her feelings. But looking at this desolate place, she held back, looked at the red sky, and thought in her heart, originally, is it such a cruel fact that I have to pass the test? Xiao Wu, don't go any further. Everyone is dead. You must live well. Shangguan took a breath, raised his hand with a smile, and seemed to want to hold Yunwu's hand. But I haven't touched it yet. The brilliance in my eyes has disappeared in an instant. Before I can close my eyes, I've been leaning down beside Yunwu. Keep going, Yunwu said to himself, holding back tears. He closed Shangguan's eyes with his hands, closed his eyes, raised his head, and swallowed his tears. Yunwu looked forward and saw a man standing in front of him in the red sky. His sword was dyed with bright red blood, reflecting the blood light, and his white clothes were stained with mottled blood. He turned his head, pale face suddenly raised a faint smile, small 5. Cloud Dance only feels dizzy for a while, and walks towards Nanganji, getting closer. Nanganji, without veil, has seen it. But such a thrilling look still made Yunwu confused. Nanganji, you tell me you. Before the words fall, Nangong suddenly falls down on Yunwu, and her blood suddenly dyes her clothes, which makes her suffocate again. Nanganji! Yunwu and Nanganji fall on the ground together, holding Nanganji's body. Cloud Dance was stunned for a long time. What kind of test is this? What test do I have with the death of my companion? Yunwu feels confused in her heart. Nanganji's body trembles slightly in her arms. She turns her head and sees Chi Yi's corpse not far away. Her eyes, without focus, are not far ahead. Yunwu felt that her heart would be pulled out. How could that be? The clouds murmured. He raised his hand and touched Nanganji's body, and his heart was still beating. He shook Nanganji hard. "Wake up! Don't sleep. You tell me what happened." Nanganji, lying in her arms, breathes quietly without any movement. The blood on the ground dyed the whole world red. "How cruel it is!" Cloud Dance pursed his mouth, contained tears, embraced South Palace flurried for him, Du Chi to adjust breath. For a long time, Nangong finally breathed and opened his eyes. "Are you better?" Yunwu felt that her breath was painful. "Why are you here? Why are they all like this? Are you all attacked by the Beast Gate?" Nangong coughed twice, raised his hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth, with a faint smile. "Xiao Wu, you'll have to be good alone in the future. We can only accompany you here." Cloud Brain, a burst of roar, chest pain, let her suddenly eject a mouthful of blood. "Who is it? Who is it?" A burst of anger in Yunwu's heart rushed to the top of her head, making her whole person full of murderous spirit. The vast desert ahead was full of murderous spirit. Yunwu saw the man in black rushing towards this side from the end of the desert ahead. Nangong suddenly stood up, holding a long sword in front of Yunwu. "Xiao Wu, you go quickly, I'll deal with it here." Spit out a mouthful of blood. The wound seems to be very serious. Yunwu rushes forward and blocks Nangong behind him. He looks at countless people who are getting closer and closer and says, "You concentrate on healing. I'll resist." A nameless anger in her heart suddenly ran to the top of her head, which made her hot in the brain. Her eyes were red, and she rushed to the people in front of the Beast Gate dressed in black with a knife. The big knife slashed at the people of the Beast Gate, and the blood flew everywhere. The cloud danced and grinned, and the smile was ferocious. I felt very comfortable at the moment when I got up and fell. There was a moment of confusion and hesitation in Yunwu's heart, and then the joy from the killing made her forget everything, and countless flesh and blood flew between the rise and fall of the ancient dance sword. So has been endless killing, blood infiltration on the ground, the sand infiltration, gradually wet clothes. Cloud Dance looks back behind him. Nangong is also behind him, fighting against the people coming from behind. The two people, who have been soaked in blood, step back and gradually lean together. The killing made both of them red eyes. Yunwu made a strange laugh in his mouth. He raised his hand and quickly cut off the head in front of him. The blood was extremely warm. Yunwu opened his eyes wide and looked at the hell-like scene in front of him. Suddenly, his pupils suddenly narrowed. This kind of killing intention from his heart was never seen before. However, when Yunwu turns her head and sees her friends fall on the bloody ground one by one, her anger suddenly comes up, which makes her lose her mind. Her eyes are red like blood. She raises her hand and cuts off her predecessor's head. Suddenly, Cloud Dance is in a trance again. What's the matter? This strong feeling of wanting to kill must be abnormal, but his hand has been chopped at the person in front of him. Suddenly, he fell into a crazy fight. The more I fight, the more strange I feel. I've never been so irrational. Suddenly, I see that Nangong has chased him and fought side by side with him. The blood has dyed his white clothes red. The bloody Nangong makes Yunwu very confused. "Little Dance, be careful," Nangong said, but Yunwu saw Nangong Yi's face, clearly, without a trace of emotion, clearly without a bit of anger. There is no light in the eyes of the man around. Cloud Dance's heart suddenly moved, seemed to understand what, lightly should I, didn't speak, but secretly will fight gas package whole body meridians. For a moment her mind was clear. She vomited and turned to Nanganji. But Nanganji also turned to look at her, smiling. Nanganji, with scarlet color on her face, suddenly had a trace of ferocity. Yunwu seemed to understand something for a moment. She turned her head and looked around. Suddenly, I found that I could hardly see anything except the red sky and the smoke of war. Did those people come out of the smoke? More and more feel wrong. Cloud Dance looked forward as expected. In front of the smoke, suddenly appeared countless people in black toward two people. Behind the smoke, it was still like a thick fog. It was hard to see where the man in black came from. He frowned slightly, raised his hand, and slashed hard. He turned his head and looked at Nangongi. The man around him had a strange smell all over his body. Fighting spreads all over the body. Yunwu and Nangongi fight side by side. Yunwu quietly perceives the realm of Nangongi, but finds that she can't feel anything. Suddenly start a cold sweat, Cloud dance face pale, so to say this person around must not be Nangongi. So take advantage of the chaos in front of the large black man. Suddenly turn around, toward the South Palace cut. Nangong, he seems to hear the sound of machetes. When he turns around, he looks at the clouds in confusion. At that moment, Yunwu was in a trance. He was stunned for a long time. Then he gritted his teeth and slashed at Nangongi's neck. Little dance. Nangongi's eyes are slightly open. He is very surprised. He just looks at the big knife and cuts at himself. Cloud Dance also opened big eyes. He does not dodge. Want to stop hand, but already too late. Big knife towards South Temple Yi's neck chop go. Nangong, he almost instinctively dodges to one side, and a purple fighting gas gushes out of his body, which instantly resists Yunwu's attack. But the powerful force still makes Nangong step back 2 steps and raises his hand to block the attack, leaving a big hole in his hand. Are you cloud dancing or not? Nangong frowned slightly and held his arm. The blood flowed down his arm and dyed his bony fingers red. Cloud dance is in a trance for a while. How to return a responsibility. Just now, I clearly felt that this person was not Nangongi, but with this attack, Yunwu suddenly felt the realm of Nangongi and saw the fighting spirit of Nangongi. Now, even the details of Nangongi have been known thoroughly. Nangongi, Cloud Dance frowned, gently called lowered his head to think for a while, suddenly said, Nangongi, so long time no see. I miss you, I love you. Nangong heard this sentence, a faint smile, the corners of his mouth with a gentle smile. Xiaowu, you don't believe in life. Shocked raised his head, Cloud Dance looking at in front of Nangong finally vomited a breath. If you say that, it should be right. It's this person, but why does Nangongi feel so strange? Holding Nangong Yi's hand, Yunwu plans to get rid of his doubts for a while. Looking around, there is a mess that has been killed, and no one in black attacks him again. So he helps Nangong sit down and bandages his wound. Nangongi, tell me how you met, how you got together, and what happened here. Cloud Dance said. Nangong lowers his head, looks at Yunwu tearing off his clothes, bandaging Nangong and looks up at Nangong In a smoky desert, both of them sat here quietly, and no one spoke. For a long time, Nangong finally sighed and laughed bitterly. We are all scattered everywhere. After suffering, I met Shangguan by chance, and then we looked for other companions together. Turning to look at the barren desert, his eyes were unspeakable bitterness. But everyone who finally met is here, falling apart. With a long sigh, Nangong Yi's eyes are full of deep despair. Yunwu has never seen such Nangong Yi. Don't be sad, Cloud Dance said. But Yunwu was not sad. She pursed her mouth, looked down at her hand, and said, Who put you here? Nangong lowered his head, pondered for a while, and then said, It's the man of the Beast Gate. Beast Gate? Cloud Dance is very puzzled. What's the situation in the clouds? How can the people of the Beast Gate appear here? Does it mean that the one who wants to test me is the one who kills the Beast Gate? To hide the doubts in my heart, Yunwu looked at the endless desert ahead and murmured, in front, How far can we go to the end? Nangong also shook his head hard, and his eyes were bitter. There must be people from the Beast Gate ahead. Yunwu stood up, holding the sword tightly in his hand, and turned to Nangongi. Let's go forward. I want to see what place it is. Nangongi nodded and walked forward side by side with Yunwu. Waves of sand in the desert, blowing to the two people's faces, so that they cannot open their eyes, bitter sand with a bloody taste. It seems that this is a battlefield that has been fighting for a long time. Countless broken halberds that have been weathered, and countless soldiers that have become skeletons, make Yunwu feel sad again. She looks behind her. In front of the desert, there are still bodies of her friends buried, but she can only move forward. Let's go. The blood on the two faces had dried up and caked. Their clothes were as hard as if they were wearing a layer of armor. I don't think it's normal here, Yunwu said. I feel that it looks like an array here. After all, it seems that there is no place for these people. Nangong, he didn't speak. He just went on. He seemed to be listening to what Yunwu said, but he didn't. Do you think we can get out alive? Nangong, he took a cold breath, narrowed his eyes, and looked ahead. The third eye on his forehead was opened by him and looked ahead for a long time. He said, there seems to be a huge palace ahead. Cloud Dance eyes suddenly have light. This boring desert finally is about to come to an end. Two people hobble, obviously tired to death, toward the unknown direction in front of the desert. Has been in so long. Yunwu looked up at the sky. A fuzzy round day is still on top of his head, faintly emitting light. That round day has been in this direction, no matter which direction he goes. That's strange. Cloud Dance frowns and turns to look at Nangong Yi, who is still walking with his head down. Did you find that the sun in the sky is really weird? Cloud Dance said, and then gradually see in front of the roof of the house, in the yellow, endless desert, appears unusual abrupt. Well, Nangong Yi turns around in doubt and looks at Yunwu. His eyes are full of doubts. He doesn't know what Bai Yunwu was saying just now. Look at the sun, it's always in the same direction, no matter which way we go. Look at the sun. Sure enough, the direction above my head has not changed at all, while at my feet, there is only a dot left in my shadow. Gradually close to the huge palace, Cloud Shocked gradually opened his eyes. The palace was too big to be seen at a glance, and the towering roof was full of death and dusk. It seems that we are far away, Yunwu said, looking at the palace in front of him. It seems to be as high as the sun, which makes Yunwu take a breath. But Nangong Yi frowned and slowed down. Yunwu finally feels that something is wrong with Nangongji. Turning around, she sees that Nangongji has stopped and is not far away from her. What's the matter? Cloud Dance picks eyebrow to see the direction of South Palace. Very doubt. Quickly walk. But Nangong Yi frowned, looked at his feet, and said nothing. Yunwu turns and walks towards Nangongji, strangely. He turns and looks at the palace immediately behind him. Then he looks at Nangongji. What's the matter? Are you not feeling well? Sure enough, after finishing this sentence, Yunwu suddenly sees Nangong Yi's face pale, covering his chest and sweating. I can't go. Nangong Yi's eyes suddenly flashed a fluster. Although it passed quickly, it still fell in Yunwu's eyes. Why can't we pass? Yunwu looks at Nangongji strangely and suddenly raises her hand to Nangongji. But Nangong Yi in front of him was suddenly surprised. He threw away Yunwu's hand and stepped back 2 steps. He lowered his head and gave a bitter smile. Because I can't walk now. Biting his teeth and taking a deep breath. Nangong, he seems to be a little flustered, with panic in his eyes, looking at the huge palace behind him from time to time. But Nangong Yi's face never appeared such expression. Cloud Dance heart has been in doubt. But this flustered person in front of him is not Nangong Yi. Nangong Yi's face will never show this kind of flustered expression. Who are you? Why do you want to look like Nangongji? Yunwu's hand is shaking. She is a little afraid. If this person is not Nangong Yi, who is it? This desolate place, such a person who has been with us all the time, is not the best friend, I think, which makes Yunwu feel chilly. Xiaowu, why don't you know me? Nangong Yi frowned and raised his hand. It seemed that he wanted to touch Yunwu, but Yunwu waved it away. This place is really weird, Cloud Dance thought. Looking at in front of Nangong Yi's eyes suddenly appear a heavy kill. This let Cloud Dance heart a burst of tension. Don't think. Toward the so-called Nangong Yi cut in the past. Finally, the man in front of him grinned and suddenly turned into a white thing, flying towards the clouds like a spirit. Cloud Dance is scared to step back several steps. Lift the big knife of ancient Wu to cut toward the white spirit body. The spirit flew up and then forced to the Cloud Dance. The speed was so fast that the Cloud Dance didn't have time to react, so it was penetrated by the white spirit. Suddenly feel the blood boiling turning up, spit out a mouthful of blood. Looking up at the tall palace ahead, Yunwu clenched her teeth, turned over, and flew towards the palace. The speed was so fast that the white spirit behind didn't react. By the time of reaction, Yunwu had been far away from here, so the spirit body chased up in the direction of Cloud Dance. The spirit body is the spirit body after all. It has no physical ties, so it is very fast. In a twinkling of an eye, it has already arrived at Yunwu and rushed to Yunwu. Yunwu looked at the palace in front of him. He recalled that the spirit body had said that he could not go any further. It seemed that this place was restrained by the spirit body. He made up his mind to run towards the palace, which was still far away. It's still a long way from the palace. Yunwu finds that countless white spirits are floating around. Some of them have been imitated as human beings, while others are still in spiritual state. They all look at Yunwu. The greed in their eyes makes Yunwu shiver. What strange things these are! Yunwu speeds up and flies towards the front gate of the palace. Sure enough, when it was 20 or 30 meters away from the gate, the spirit bodies around it suddenly became clean and nothing was left. This can't help but let Cloud Dance vomit a breath. Pressure heart turn gush to the blood in the throat. Suddenly feel the whole hall of strong pressure hit. Let her a burst of suffocation, dizziness, bite the tongue, sharp pain let her wake up. But I saw that in front of me was a circular hall. In the center of the hall, there was a circular altar hanging in the air. Around the altar, there were a total of 12 pillars, each of which was bound with a person. These people were all wrapped in white spirit bodies and could not see clearly. However, it made Yunwu frown and move on. Just in front of the circular hall, there is a door. The door is slightly open, and there is cold air flowing out. Yunwu shakes all over his body. He quickly wraps his fighting spirit around his body and carries his sword behind him. He is on guard. Little 5. In the main hall, someone called her suddenly, and the echo started around the beam. A long time is not gone. One voice has not been cut off. Another voice rises again. Hearing this sound, Yunwu suddenly felt as if her head had been knocked. She felt dizzy and nauseous. When I looked up, I saw a familiar figure in front of the hall. I was still calling her, Little 5, Shangwan. Cloud Dance is very strange, but the dizziness in her mind makes her unable to stand still, and she has no time to think about it. She quickly supports the wall around her and staggers forward. Yes, Xiaowu, you are here at last. We have been here for a long time. In the distance, Shangwan came to Yunwu with a smile. This time, Yunwu finally saw his face clearly. It was really Shangwan. However, after what happened to Nanganji just now, Yunwu's face suddenly darkened. He was still wondering whether it was right or not, but he was ready to fight. Are you a Shangwan? Yunwu suddenly raised Guwu's broadsword, facing the direction of Shangwan, coldly. Don't get close, because I don't know if you are the real Shangwan. Hearing this, the Shangwan in front of him gave a wry smile, shook his head and sighed. Sure enough, in this real and fake world, no one can believe the people around him. I have questioned Nanganji and Mengbai before because before we entered the hall, the people around us were cheated by many spirit bodies, and Chi Yi's was seriously injured because of the spirit body. With that, he sighed and looked at the cloud dancing around him. So it seems normal that you don't trust me. Yunwu was stunned. These words were very pertinent, which made Yunwu suspicious. When he was thinking about the truth of Shangwan's words, he saw Shangwan behind him. Nanganji, Mingbai, Chi Yi's, and Situlan all came out of the hall one by one. They stood beside Shangwan and looked at Yunwu. They all seemed to be tired. You are all here. Cloud Dance has been suspicious. Although now see these familiar faces feel very happy, but the heart is very heavy. This kind of contradictory mood makes Yunwu frown, because if these people are not on his own side, I'm afraid it will be more or less dangerous for him to fight against so many enemies alone tonight. Xiaowu, let's destroy this hall together. I feel that everything here is controlled by this hall. Mengbai said, step forward, walk to Yunwu, and smile at Yunwu. So, we hope that no one will be hurt between us. Cloud Dance is still very vigilant. Left and right look, see the people around, not how. But still don't worry, step back, instinctively raise the sword, standing in the middle of the two people, in different way. Then how can you so sure that I am Yunwu? Shangguan and Nangong look at each other and finally move forward. Shangguan smiles at Yunwu. How can we not know that we are so familiar with each other after all? But in Yunwu's heart, she suddenly became highly nervous because she found that these people around her had unconsciously surrounded her, and she had been surrounded. You certainly don't think so in your mind. Cloud Dance sneers. He turned to look at Chi Yi's behind him and Ming by beside him. His whole body was purple and full of fighting spirit. His whole body was full of murderous spirit. You must not be my friends. What is it? You are not spiritual body, are you? Chi Yi's vomited a breath, pulled out a long sword from the body, and said coldly, It seems that we don't think much about it. This woman must not be a Cloud Dance. Sure enough, all the people around him turned cold and drew out their swords. In an instant, the murderous spirit overflowed and surrounded the clouds. Cloud Dance's heart suddenly a burst of tension. So many people, but he did not feel out in the end what is wrong. The feeling of these people is not wrong. It is clear that they're good friends from speech and behavior to appearance. No matter which one feels very normal, but why, there is a strange feeling. In front of a few people, the whole body's intention to kill let Cloud Dance high alert, a time of tension. All of a sudden, bursts of white fog from all directions will fill the entire hall. Instant. Everything in front of you can't see. Up in front of him, Shangguan's voice came from afar. Then, he heard the sound of footsteps rushing towards him. Yunwu raises the big sword and cuts it in one direction. But I don't know why. I can't see clearly the situation in front of her, which makes her very troubled, so she has to act according to her feelings. The voice around him was getting closer and closer, which made Yunwu breathe very hard and cut in a direction. Two weapons suddenly collided, let her back 2 steps, finally stop holding the ancient martial arts sword toward the direction of the past. But the side suddenly disappeared, let Cloud Dance for a while, almost fell down in time to control themselves, feel the side. And there's no sound around. Come out! Yunwu clenched her teeth, tensed her nerves, and looked at the thick white fog around her. Suddenly, behind a cool wind, call from the side, Yunwu instinctively ran to the people around, raised his hand to chop. Little dance. Stop it suddenly. A pair of hands suddenly came out of his side, lifted Yunwu's hand with a knife and grabbed it. I know you're Xiaowu. I'm really Shangguan. The words did not fall, only heard the wind blowing around. Yunwu looks pale and wants to get rid of the hands of the people around her, but she finds that the hands of the people around her are so firm that she can't get rid of them. Seeing a cold silver light, she cuts her head. Cloud Dance is impatient. Raise a leg to the person nearby to kick past, then turn over to pull the person beside to come over, block in front of. Absolutely not. They're definitely not themselves. Cloud Dance heart suddenly firm up, eyes also a burst of murderous. In front of a burst of roar, and then suddenly into a white gas, scattered away. The Cloud danced to swallow saliva, and the heart shocked extremely. When she was extremely cautious, she felt her back was chilly. She immediately cut back. There was a spark behind her. It was obviously the sound of weapons colliding. The tiger's mouth was sore and bleeding. This man is really amazing. Yunwu put the knife on the other hand, shook off the blood oozing from his hand, pressed down the blood flowing in his body, and cut it hard. There was another heart-rending roar, which made the clouds tremble. She saw a wisp of white smoke, which disappeared in the thick fog. You don't have to disguise anymore. It's something. Show its original shape quickly. Is shouting in front of the thick fog, but suddenly dissipated. In a flash, I went back to the hall just now, and at this time, the faint fragrance made Yunwu feel comfortable. I couldn't help taking a deep breath and walking forward slowly. In the main hall, the long corridor is out of sight. And on both sides, just like walking lanterns, there are scenes of the past which make the clouds dance for a while in a trance, but they walk forward slowly in a daze. Little 5. Behind him suddenly appeared a person, gasping to hold the hand of Cloud Dance. In a twinkling, Yunwu pulled the man's hand and threw it forward. The man fell to the ground and didn't get up for a long time. Shengwan? Yunwu looked at the man who showed his teeth on the ground in surprise. He was puzzled in his eyes. He suddenly raised his sword and pointed to Shengwan's neck and said coldly, "Who are you?" "Oh, you really killed me. Don't you know me?" Shengwan kneaded his shoulder and stood up from the ground. "Anyway, we are also people who have had friendship with each other. How can you say that if you don't know me, you don't know me?" Cloud Dance can't help but frown. This glib tone is really like Shengwan. But now this kind of situation still really don't know how to deal with. Also true, also false. Let Cloud Dance suddenly have no idea. Thought in the heart, still decided to help the upper official up, pick eyebrow to see him. "Where are you from?" Shengwan scratched his head and laughed. He turned his head to look at the fog over the hall and said, "I feel that those things came out of a door in the center of the hall." This sentence reminds Yunwu. Looking up, the whole hall is divided into several floors, and there are countless small houses on each floor. I'm afraid these white things came out of the small house, but it's really difficult to find out which place is so dangerous. "Let's go ahead and see if we can get out." Cloud Dance said, "Go forward." But I thought, in fact, there is such a person with me. Even if I know that this person is a spirit in the future, I can help myself before that. So, 2 men with weapons toward the front of the dark corridor. Through the long hall corridor, they finally came to a huge door in front of them and carefully observed the situation around them. White air comes out from the dark door. The door seems to be hidden. It looks strange, but there is no problem. He turned his head and looked at Shengwan. Shengwan also came slowly and looked inside. He had a Cold War. "It's really a bit terrible here. It's dark inside. Why can't you see anything?" Cloud Dance sneers. Guwu big knife holds in hand. Push the door hard open. In a flash, a cool air came towards the Cloud Dance. Entering the gate, Yunwu saw a vast expanse of white, unable to see where it was. It's like being in chaos. There's nothing. Even at her feet, she can't step on the ground. She looks around and suddenly finds that the Shengwan around her is no longer there. Frowning tightly, Yunwu still held the sword tightly, watched around warily, pursed his lips tightly, and sank his face. Although he seems to be floating in the void, but it can move, Yunwu see the quiet side is strange, so he went forward on his own. "I don't know how to go, but all directions in front of me seem to be the same. How to go by myself is nothing." This makes Yunwu feel very scared. She doesn't know what to do next to get out of here, so she has to move on. Suddenly, a large group of people in front of him rushed towards Yunwu. Yunwu turned pale with fright and quickly came forward to chop out the ancient martial arts sword. Suddenly a roar came, and the man in black in front of him turned into a white fog and disappeared in an instant. Yunwu lowered his head, touched his chin, and pondered for a long time. All of a sudden, right, so it is. I'm afraid these people are not real people, but developed from the white fog in this space. So they can appear and disappear from the white fog. They're not spirits at all. I'm afraid they are just the fog in the hall. Thinking about this, he had a general understanding in his heart. He raised his hand and waved a knife to chop the people in black in front of him. When these people were killed, Yunwu found that there was a group of people running towards him not far away. Heart cold Hume, Cloud Dance picked up the big knife and then rushed in front, raised his hand, and cut. Sure enough, after those people were killed, they all turned into smoke and disappeared in the white fog. Then, in a flash, a group of people appeared again, chopping towards the cloud. But with such inexhaustible energy, it's impossible to cut down these people. Thinking about this, Yunwu looked around and saw that no one stopped him, so he ran in one direction. So countless people with long swords rushed towards Yunwu, and they were beheaded one by one and turned into smoke. Cloud Dance did not stop. This place, no matter what, feel very suspicious, but there will always be exports, so think. So Yunwu speeds up and advances in one direction, frowning slightly and looking behind from time to time. After leaving for a long time, but still didn't see the side, Yunwoo was a little frustrated and helpless. In such a big place, he didn't even give me a place to stay? Is thinking suddenly in front of a room-like place a door is open to himself. Cloud danced slightly upon her, or choose to go in. This time, the whole door has changed its scenery. There are countless mountains, rivers, flowers, birds, fish, and insects. After entering the door in a trance, the door behind disappears and turns into rockery and fish and insects. What is this place? Yunwoo frowned and looked at it with a big knife. This place looks like a small yard, but the layout of the yard must be very uncomfortable. It looks like a array. Yes, that's right. It's a battle. Yunwoo was pleasantly surprised, looking at the rockery, flowers, and trees in front of her. Although it didn't look different, Yunwoo closed her eyes and thought about it. Suddenly, all the places she had seen before appeared in front of her, which made her suddenly a flash of inspiration. As expected, I found that the rockery and river in this courtyard are actually a detail of the array, and each scenery constitutes the array. Yunwoo smiles. She seems to understand something, so she goes to a stone table and chair, raises Guwoo's big knife, and smashes the table with a bang. In an instant, countless people suddenly appeared around, chopping at the Cloud Dance. Cloud Dance, suddenly surprised, quickly dodge, but those people have surrounded her. Toe light point. Clouds suddenly fly up toward a rockery next to fly. Suddenly, the rockery, which was not very high, saw the whole formation clearly. Suddenly, it flew down and ran towards a pine tree. In an instant, it cut off the pine tree and threw it aside. Only before the meeting, the body of the man in black twisted for a moment and seemed to disappear. The Cloud Dance Heart Way is very good. Suddenly sends the strength, smash the entire courtyard. I finally understand. The cloud dances the corner of the mouth to stir up a smile that has a sense of accomplishment. Originally, everything here is a mirage. Just a ring sets a ring. Let a person see not to come to the clue. Then he ran to a Warcraft sculpture in the center of the array. Behind him, countless people in black rushed towards Yunwoo. It seemed that they were trying to stop it, but it was too late. Yunwoo suddenly smashed the sculpture in front of them. In an instant, the whole space twisted and became white. At last, nothing could be seen. Comfortable. It's more comfortable than ever. Yunwoo couldn't help but close her eyes, but she felt like she was in her own home. After several days of sleepiness, Yunwoo finally closed her eyes and couldn't open them. Now, everything is quiet. Yunwoo took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and felt the warmth of spring. He was in a trance, and then he didn't know anything. The chaotic space and the soft white light envelop Yunwoo again. It is clear that there is no injury on the surface, but the expression on Yunwoo's face is much more painful than the first level. Finally, Yunwoo, who was wrapped in the soft white light, slowly opened his eyes. His eyes, which were always bright and fearless, were confused. He seemed to be wondering where he was at this time. Awake! The genial voice rang out and instantly pulled Yunwoo back to reality. Cloud Dance is young. Quickly get up to look around, but still didn't see the figure that speak. In my mind, I tasted everything that happened before, and Cloud Dance was relieved. Ah, you look scared, the kind voice said with a smile, but there was no meaning of ridicule between the words, but there was obvious appreciation. That's what you mean by Qingguan, Cloud Dance Light said, although still palpitating, but did not show, and at the same time in the celebration. Fortunately, those are just dreams. That's right. The voice suddenly became serious. If you want to be a master, you have to have your own attitude towards the people around you. To friends, relatives, enemies, lovers, your attitude shows how you are. At the critical moment, you can see whether you are a hypocrite or a real villain. Cloud dances a corner of mouth to hook. Ask away. That I am what? The voice paused. Obviously, your friends have said not to let you forward, but you have to protect them. So you are not a hypocrite or a real villain. But to put it bluntly, you are a madman. Ha ha ha. Yunwoo looks up and laughs, as if she wants to express her fear and fantasy. Yes, she's a lunatic, but no matter when, she can't give up her friends, even if there is only a glimmer of hope. In the moment of fantasy, she knew that as long as she left, her friend would die. I've passed the second level. Cloud Dance stopped laughing and said. She remembers what someone promised her before the second level. Yes, you have. The voice said, Girl, I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, I won't go back on my promise. But you have to think about the third level. Cloud Dance eyebrows pick. Oh, what can I do for you? The third level was originally intended to be adjusted according to the situation of the first two levels, but there was a bet between you and me, so I had to change the third level temporarily. Having said that, in the original void space, a figure suddenly came out. Cloud Dance looked at the past and saw a gray-haired old man appeared in front of him, surrounded by the white light, as if there was a real immortal spirit. With a long beard and a long shirt, he was the incarnation of Lao Jun with a brush in his hand. Cloud Dance, tut-tut, too, think in the heart. The strength of such a high-strength ancient summoner. It seems to be so immortal. What? The little girl is not satisfied with my image? The old man asked when he saw the attitude of Yunwu. Not dissatisfied, Cloud Dance said. It's just that it doesn't match your strength. Ha ha ha. The old man said with a smile. You're a funny girl. I am very happy, but the third level should be passed. What is the third test? Cloud Dance asked. Strength. The old man said seriously. This words Cloud Dance almost laughed out. Strength, isn't the first two tests strength? In those two levels, as long as one is not careful or the strength is slightly poor, he will be directly buried in those two levels. But at this time to the old man's mouth. Unexpectedly, only the third level is the test of strength. The old man saw the expression of Cloud Dance in his eyes, and naturally guessed the idea of Cloud Dance. At the moment, he raised his hand to touch his beard and said, although the first two passes seem difficult, they are actually drawn up according to the strength of the inheritor. Don't you find that there is nothing that can really threaten you? Even the strength of those Warcraft are much weaker than you. If I have real ability and want to set up a difficult level, I'm afraid you will fall down as early as the first level. Yunwu turned his lips, but he didn't doubt what the old man said. Thinking about the strength of the old man in front of him, he was afraid that if he was serious, he would fall down. How do you test a third level? Are you going to take me seriously? Cloud Dance picks eyebrow to ask away. That's right. The old man said seriously, did not feel Cloud Dance as joking. Yunwu was silent for a moment and looked at the old man in front of him with burning eyes. There are not so many tricks in the third level. As long as you can take my 3 moves, you will be considered to have passed the level. How? It's very simple. Yunwu wants to despise the old man from the bottom of his heart. From the ancient summoner's 3 moves, let alone 3 moves, Cloud Dance has no doubt that the other party will directly take their own life as long as 1 move. I want to know, what form are you now? Cloud Dance did not answer the old man's question, but put forward another question. Ha ha ha, you are a careful observer. The old man laughed and said, my real body is long fallen. At this time, I only have a breath in front of you. I specially used it to guard the tomb and look for the inheritor. Therefore, the current strength is only 1/10 of the peak period. As for my strength in my peak period, I'm afraid you won't know. Only when you get to that state can you know the horror of that state. If you can successfully accept my inheritance today, you can reach that realm within a short time. Of course, you can choose to give up. You have passed the previous 2 levels. You can take away 2/3 of the power in the jade metal. Although it is not a real inheritance, it is enough to help you improve a lot. Yunwu didn't become excited because of the old man's words. On the contrary, she had more confidence in her eyes. Only 1/10 of the strength. Yunwu squinted and thought. Although the old man said it was light, Yunwu guessed in his heart how powerful the old man was at his peak. I'm afraid that 1/10 of his strength is much stronger than that of himself now. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to take 3 moves and win. But if you want to accept the inheritance, you must pass this pass. As for withdrawal, only 2/3 of the power in the jade metal. The choice of Cloud Dance has never been considered. Okay, I'll take it. Cloud danced to force a point to nod, firm say. At the moment when Yunwu said this, the surrounding scene changed again. The white soft light disappeared directly, and he went straight to a boundless wasteland. Then, the figure of the old man appeared in front of him. Out of the white space, the old man's side is still emitting a faint white light. Under the background of the surrounding environment, he is even more immortal than before in the soft white space. Girl, get ready. I won't do favoritism, the old man said with a smile, as if he was not the one who was going to attack Yunwu next. Cloud dance is a serious nod. The next moment, the purple fighting spirit appeared directly on the body, wrapped his whole body like a layer of purple armor. If it's outside, this purple suit will surely be sought after by people. After all, purple fighting spirit is the best fighting spirit. If anyone's fighting spirit is purple, he will be treated well. It's a symbol of talent, but fell into the old man's eyes, but did not feel surprised, as if this is the thing should have been in general. Well, purple is aggressive, not bad. The old man nodded and said, the person Xiaojie likes really has some talent. Yunwu is not moved, and she is not complacent because of the old man's words. She doesn't think she can resist the old man's attack only by virtue of this layer of fighting spirit. The next moment, Yunwu spared no effort to mobilize the power of the elements in her body, forming a protective layer of different colors on her body. It's the first time I've met Hu in the whole department. The old man's eyes lit up. Then, Cloud Dance's heart read a move. Those layers of protective layer actually directly condensed together. Finally, it turned into a colorful protective layer, which wrapped the Cloud Dance tightly. The old man was moved at last. It's not easy for the whole department summoner to practice, not to mention the multi-department summoner. Besides taking more time, the most important thing is that he can't control the balance between the elements. But now, Cloud Dance can use all the elements at one time, and it can achieve such a balance. Cloud Dance at this time has used all the strength to resist, but the heart is still some spectrum. The control of the 7 elements is very difficult, and she can only use them for defense. If she uses the 7 elements to attack, she still can't do it now. I'm ready. Let's go. Cloud Dance looked up at the old man in front of the firm said. The old man also put on a serious look. Well, in that case, I'll do it. After that, the body slowly rose up, hands raised at the same time, and the 2 palms condensed the elements of thunder and space. Then, the old man's hands slowly close, and the 2 elements in those 2 hands are also rapidly fused together. Yunwu was a little surprised. No wonder the old man was only slightly moved when he saw her move, but he was not as surprised as anyone he had seen before. It turned out that he had already found a way to fuse elements together. It seems that the old man is really not simple. Cloud Dance thought in the heart, a bit more cautious. On the old man's 2 palms, those 2 elements slowly condensed together, and finally suddenly turned into a dust. At this time, the old man looked more like the real emperor. The old man's eyes narrowed slightly. Girl, I'm going to do it. After that, the 2-color dust on his hand was picked up, and the old man threw it hard. The long white seemed to grow in an instant and hit the protective layer of Cloud Dance hard. Boom! The protective layer that Cloud Dance makes painstakingly is broken directly. Yunwu's body seemed to be a kite with broken line. It was hit hard and flew back heavily. After a long distance, it finally landed heavily on the ground. There was a burst of chi and blood in the chest, and it was dark in front of my eyes. Yunwu covers his chest and presses down the injury caused by the powerful attack. It's just the first blow. I only use brute force. It doesn't play the role of elements in penetrating into your body. You become like this. The old man sighed and said, now I can give you another chance. Do you want to quit? Yunwu didn't get up from the ground until she recovered a little. Give up? Cloud Dance corner the mouth a hook, sneer and say, I can never think of. The old man seemed to have guessed that the Cloud Dance was the answer, so he nodded and said nothing more. Just a light reminder. Prepare, this time, I will start to move the real thing. Yunwu took a deep breath. Just like just now, he wrapped the purple fighting air around his body and stopped for a while, but did not mix the different elements together. Just now my mind was affected, and most of it was put on controlling the balance of elements, which was not conducive to my defense. So this time, Yunwu learned a lesson, turning all elements into a protective layer, covering the outside layer by layer, the weakest in the outermost layer, and the toughest in the innermost layer. Yunwu's idea is to weaken the old man's attack power through the outer layer. So the more he gets to the back, the smaller the power will be, and the defense against explanation will not be so easy to break. After the completion of those protective layers, Yunwu stabilized his mind and mobilized the power of evil bite in his body. Black energy appears in the innermost part to protect Cloud Dance tightly. With this layer of protection, Yunwu feels relieved. "Let's go," Cloud Dance Light said, although it doesn't look different, but the old man still obviously heard Cloud Dance has been injured. The old man's heart moved. He even wanted to let the water go. This girl is excellent. In time, she will be able to do something. But on second thought, how can you change your original intention just because of a little girl? Now the old man stabilized his mind. And just now in general, the whisk appeared again, and then left no spare force to attack the past toward the cloud. This time, the protective layer of Yunwu has not been destroyed, but the whole person flies out directly like an egg under the protection of layers of protective layer. In the mid-air, the protective layer is broken layer by layer, and finally the Cloud Dance is exposed between the landing. And just now the brute force is different. This time, the old man played a ray of power elements. At this time, Yunwu was lying on the ground and had no strength to get up. A mouthful of blood gushed out, but he didn't feel any pain at all. He just twitched unconsciously, just like suffering from epilepsy. The silver lightning flickered on his body, almost turning Yunwu into an electric man. After a long time, the silver light slowly disappeared, and Yunwu finally regained consciousness. Then came the intense pain. The pain of being destroyed by thunder elements. The internal organs seem to be broken, and every inch of the body is suffering endless pain. Cloud Dance's brow is tightly wrinkling, gritting teeth to endure the pain. The old man stood not far away in silence, looking at the painful clouds on the ground. After a long time, he finally sighed, "I can give you all the strength in the jade metal. How about you leave?" Although the power of jade cannot be compared with inheritance, it can make many people excited. Yunwu couldn't answer in pain, and without her answer, the old man would not help her. It was not until after a long time that I got used to the painful cloud dance that I was finally able to control my own strength. It was difficult to get up from the ground, look up at the old man in front of me, and say, "Second move, I succeeded." Old man alung, immediately in the eyes is full of moving. Want to put cloud dance directly through the desire is more intense. "There's a last resort," Cloud Dance coldly said. "This time, I don't need to prepare." "No preparation?" The old man said in shock, as if he had heard something terrible. "Are you crazy? Even if you have made preparations, the first 2 times you have become like this. The third move is the most powerful one. What's more difficult is that your physical strength is completely different from the previous 2 times. At this time, you tell me you don't need to prepare? Do you already know you're going to lose, so you're not going to win?" Cloud Dance pursed her lips and did not speak, trying to breathe. Under her control, the body is recovering a little bit. Although she was invaded by thunder elements, she also had thunder elements, so she could recover soon. But now the time is too short. Even if she tried to recover a little, it is not enough for her to take the third move. "Girl, are you serious?" The old man saw that he had been talking for a long time, but Yunwu always looked at himself with an expression, so he couldn't help asking. Cloud Dance nodded seriously and said, "I'm serious." "Third, you don't need to be prepared." The old man frowned. He couldn't figure out the Cloud Dance. "Do you think I can't do it? I'll let you go." Cloud Dance sneered, "I don't have that spare time to think so much. I said I don't need to be prepared, naturally, because I have a better way to defend the third move than preparation." "Oh." The old man thought about it and said, "My attack speed is very fast. If you want to dodge, it's impossible to dodge the attack. I know, Yunwu said. I just have other ways. In a word, I'll take the third move. Looking at the cloud dance, which didn't seem like a joke, the old man finally just sighed and said, "Okay, since you want to pick it up, then I will help you. You can take the third move. Success, inheritance is yours after that." The body back. This time, the hands of the dust did not appear again. After the two elements appeared in the hand, they condensed together again, but they directly turned into a tiger and rushed to the cloud dance. Roar! The fierce tiger formed very quickly. The streamer of the two elements changed constantly. It looked up and roared, as if it was a real beast. It could not see the energy body that was just the power of the elements. Yunwu's eyes were firm, and his body was extremely weak compared with the fierce tiger. From the old man's point of view, she didn't see what she wanted to do. The old man frowned, and the tiger came directly to Yunwu. With the force of momentum, he rushed to Yunwu. Just when the old man thought Yunwu would be knocked down by the tiger, a powerful explosion broke out in the place where Yunwu was standing. Boom dash sound, huge mushroom cloud from the ground to the air, continues to extend, polyester and cotton flying sand and stone, as if there is something terrible monster is about to be born. The old man quickly retreated. Now he was just breathing. After the test, his body would have become more transparent. If he was attacked again, he would disappear directly. By that time, the whole tomb would be left unattended. The mushroom cloud of explosion has been rising for a long time. The old man was eager to know what happened to Yunwu, but he couldn't stand forward, so he could only wait. This girl broke my heart. She can't just die. I haven't given you my housekeeping skills yet, the old man said eagerly. At this time, I began to blame myself. It's just a test. As long as I'm satisfied, why do I have to be so serious and kill people? A good girl is not destroyed in their own hands. Girl, if you are still alive, my inheritance is yours. You have to be good. Seems to have heard the old man's words in general. The mushroom cloud gradually dispersed. One of the figures slowly appeared. The old man's eyes lit up in a flash. Girl? The old man asked cautiously, looking forward to it. Finally, the figure became more and more clear. In the thinner and thinner smoke, we could vaguely see that a deep pit was blown out, and Cloud Dance was at the bottom of the pit. The body is very thin, as if at any time can fall down in general, so stand in a prominent position. The old man's heart rose in an instant. The cold voice spread at this time. The third level I broke through. The old man was stunned, and then a satisfied smile appeared on his face, affirming, "Congratulations, you passed the test. From today on, you are my successor." The sound of affirmation came, and Yunwu was relieved at last. The next moment, the body straight back. "Girl!" The old man's voice rang out eagerly. Then the hand directly turned into a brush, gently waved, a twist to the surrounding environment, and then returned to the space full of soft, white light. Warm power will be wrapped in Yunwu, into her body, a little bit of repair of the injury. Yunwu just felt as if he was soaked in a hot spring. The breath that penetrated into his body was very gentle. Every trace of it was trying its best to repair the damaged part of his body. As time goes by, Yunwu's injuries recover more and more. This wench, how still don't wake up? The old man, who has become very light in color, rubs his hands anxiously and says that he feels that Yunwu is no longer in danger of life, so he doesn't worry anymore. On the contrary, it's only a matter of time before he recovers such a strong aura in this space. At this time, he wanted Yunwu to wake up immediately so that he could hand over the inheritance to her. Finally, in the old man's eager eyes, Yunwu opened his eyes. A pair of extremely bright eyes, in addition to a little pale, could not see that they had been so seriously injured before. "Hey girl, you finally wake up?" The old man said happily, looking at Yunwu. His eyes were full of joy. and he was very satisfied with his successor. Yunwu stretches some muscles and bones at will, and feels that the pain on the body has disappeared. The previous injury is much better. There is nothing special except some fatigue. Suddenly, she feels that the power here is amazing. It must be strong enough to have such effect. Old man, I've passed all 3 levels. What you say counts. Yuma was in a good mood. He thought of the old man's promise before he fainted and put it forward at this time. Don't worry, I've always said a lot. For your tenacity. Even if you don't get through the 3 hurdles, I still think you are the successor. Ha ha ha. The old man was also in a good mood. He stretched out his hand and stroked his beard. He raised his head and laughed. As soon as the cloud danced around his mouth, he heard the old man smile. Then he put on a serious face and asked, "But tell me, how did you do it in the end?" "I just stood there and took my 3rd move." Yunwu shrugged. "Anyway, it doesn't matter if he said it at this time. Well said, the best defense is attack. So in the last move, I didn't defend as I did in the previous 2 times, because I know very well that even if I use all my strength, I can't resist your move. In this way, it's better to let go and use all my strength to attack. Maybe I can succeed?" "Attack!" The old man's eyes lit up. "What attack did you use? Can you even compete with my last fight?" Cloud danced, mouth a hook, hands a lift. 2 hands appeared on each of the 3 elements, and then said to the old man, "This is the attack." The next moment, Yunwu hands slowly close, like the old man's dust. When 2 palms close, hands pile together. When unfolding again, a small ball of 6 colors will appear in the palm. Just now I took the risk of using 7 elements, and it hurt me a lot. But now it's just a show, so I'll show you 6 colors. What I can control 100% is 5 elements, but 6 are not proficient. As for 7, you can only use it when you're desperate. Cloud Dance is not proud, truthfully told his own situation. The old man had been shocked for a long time. Like Yunwu, what shocked him was not the novelty of this move, but that the other side had the same effect as himself. And it seems that Cloud Dance has been able to skillfully use the 5 elements, which means that the other party does not have the idea after seeing their own dust. The younger generation is to be feared. The younger generation is to be feared, the old man said with emotion, his eyes full of surprise. I can't imagine that you can integrate these 6 elements together and use their mutual exclusion to achieve the purpose of attack. It's really smart. Cloud Dance mind micro movement. Careful to separate the 6 elements that are fused together. Do not let them destroy each other. And finally, carefully release the 6 elements. Let them dissipate. I came up with this move by chance, and I use it a lot later. It's more than enough to use the great power caused by the repulsion between elements to resist your last move. Cloud Dance paused for a while, then said, "Just did not expect, finally, or hurt. In the end, as my strength is too weak. The strength of Emperor Wu is shocking to the world everywhere outside, not to mention being a summoner of the whole department. But Yunwu is not satisfied at all. In her opinion, if she was more powerful, everything she experienced in this tomb would be much easier. It doesn't matter if you are weak. You will be strong soon. The old man stroked his beard and said, I don't have much time, so I have to explain more to you now. Cloud Dance frowned, said, You say it? Haha, little girl is calm. The old man smiles kindly. You must be curious. Why do I become more and more transparent? Originally, this tone is here to meet the challenge of inheritors. In the last pass, I will use my strength more or less. Unfortunately, no inheritor has passed the test of Xiaojiu for so long. You are the first and the last. I am very satisfied. Yunwu stood quietly listening, as if it was not her who was praised. I've changed the content of the last level just now. I use almost all my strength in this tone. I'm afraid that after I finish these words, I will disappear completely. At that time, you can only rely on your own efforts to inherit my inheritance. I don't know what to call the elder yet. Cloud Dance looked at the old man's almost transparent face and asked. Besides, since you have been able to leave a breath until now, is there no way to revive you?" The old man shook his head slowly and said, "No." Yunwu's eyes were slightly heavy, and he didn't speak. "I've lived for hundreds of years. I should have left long ago. It's enough to work hard now. If you want to call me, please call me Mr. Chun. That's what they called me at the beginning." "Old Chun," Cloud Dance called out. Chen's eyes were slightly far away, as if he thought of things a long time ago, and said, "You don't understand my strength now. When you get to a certain level in the future, just ask Xiaojiao. 3 passes through. When I disappear, you will be sent out by yourself, and here will be turned into a jade card again and fall into your hand. At that time, you only need to use a drop of blood, and the jade card will automatically open the inheritance. You must bear in mind that the inheritance must be completed in the tomb. Otherwise, if you leave the tomb, you will not be able to take out the jade card. It will be difficult to come in again at that time." Yunwu nodded, indicating that she had listened to Mr. Chen's words. "Although I'm a dual summoner, my inheritance is not the element of thunder and space. In order to facilitate the inheritor's smooth inheritance, I can transform the strength of my life into the strength of the Jade brand space. When inheriting, I can directly help you improve your realm. What I want to say is that the power is too huge and your current strength is too low. If you feel uncomfortable in the process, even if you give up the rest of the power, don't try your best to devour it. Otherwise, once the power exceeds your physical bearing range, it will explode and die. The tomb is my lifelong collection. When you complete the inheritance, these things will be yours. At that time, take a good look. If you don't understand, ask Xiaojiao." Chun Lao's expression is very serious. When he comes here, his figure is almost invisible, but he is still trying to explain what he wants to say clearly. Cloud Dance nodded seriously. "That's all I have to say. The rest depends on you." Mr. Chun has a long voice. Cloud Dance's eyes flashed slightly, looking at the figure who could only vaguely see the outline. Suddenly asked in a voice, "Dare to ask, Mr. Chun, what can I do to revive you?" "Haha, you really have a heart. But it's a pity that those who are left with a wisp of ghosts can be mended. But I don't know how many years my soul has been destroyed. Now it's just a breath. It will dissipate in a moment, and there's no way to recover." After that, it seemed that he saw the loneliness in Yunwu's eyes. Chen chuckled and continued, "You don't have to worry about it. I've lived for many years, and I've already lived enough. My biggest wish is to have an inheritance. Now this wish has been completed. If you take over my inheritance and have Xiaojiao to help you in the future, you will make a lot of progress." Chun Lao's voice is more distant, as if from a distant place, and his body also slowly dissipates with the sound. Yunwu felt a move in his heart. He suddenly bowed heavily to the place where the figure had disappeared. He said in a loud voice, "I must remember my master's instruction." In the white light, Yunwu seems to see the outline of Chen's body again. She raises her hand, smiles, and strokes her beard. She looks at her with satisfaction, as if she is quite satisfied with her master. Chen's figure completely disappeared. The surrounding space suddenly twisted. Yunwu stood there quietly, waiting for what happened next. The next moment, Yunwu only felt the surrounding space shaking, and then he was excluded from the Jade brand space and appeared on the square again. "Look, it's Cloud Dance. She's out." There was an exclamation in the square. Almost instantaneously, all those who were waiting to sit or lie in the square stood up. In full view of the public, Yunwu stood quietly on the altar, wrapped in a soft white light. All the people were just watching, but no one dared to go forward just because of the soft white light. They all kept it in mind. It seems that this Cloud Dance can't get the Jade medal. Someone looked at the Jade plate still in the distance on the altar and said, "I don't think it's that easy to get. I think she probably failed the test." The other man followed closely. Their words fell into the ears of the people around them, and a group of people nodded. They would rather be this ending than Yunwu has got that thing. However, the past is contrary to our wishes. Finally, the light slowly dissipated. When the people were confused, they suddenly saw the Jade plate which had nothing to do just now. Suddenly, it was full of light. The dazzling light was like the rising sun, which made people unable to look directly at it. Everyone raised their hands to block the dazzling light. The next moment, when they couldn't look directly at each other, the light suddenly closed and quickly got into the hands of Cloud Dancing. Peace returned to the square, and everything seemed to have never happened. What happened? Quillinger opened his big eyes and looked at the cloud dance on the altar in front of him. He didn't come forward honestly. Just now the jade plate flickered too fast. No one noticed where the jade plate had gone. Although everyone knows that Yunwoo is the one who is most likely to get the jade medal, and the thing is probably already on her, her appearance is too calm. Master, she passed the test. Small nine murmur of say, eyes is full of the color of shock. Although she is the summoner of Yunwoo, she thinks that Yunwoo can't pass the test from the bottom of her heart, but she didn't expect to pass it at last. Does this mean that the owner of the tomb has admitted Yunwoo's identity? All of a sudden, Xiaojie was very excited. He is not only excited that his former master has found a real successor, but also proud that the new master can pass the test of the old master. In this way, I can follow the master all the time. Unconsciously, the name of Xiaojie has changed. When she saw the appearance of Yunwoo, she knew that she had regarded Yunwoo as her master. Huiding and others on one side were even more shocked. In this case, the jade card must have fallen into Yunwoo's hands, although it was a pity. But when you think about the fact that you have known so many great people, you just have to put down the loss in your heart. And a few people are different is the Longqing evil facial expression, but sink down. There is no reason for him because he has seen many people around him staring at the cloud dance on the altar with shining eyes. Want to grab something from his little guy? Ask him whether he agrees or not. Cloud Dance opened her eyes, cold vision swept around the scene. I don't know if it's because she looks too mysterious. The cold vision just scared away those hot vision. Yunwoo looked at the layout of the square and found that the position where she stood was in the middle of the square, surrounded by everyone. In this way, if people rush up, it will not be so defensive. At the moment, Yunwoo slowly walked down from the altar to the team of Washishi Town. What's going on? Did Yunwoo get the jade medal? There was a voice of doubt. This question rings in the hearts of everyone waiting in the square, but no one knows the answer. And they all hope that someone can come out and ask Yunwoo. It's better to snatch the jade medal, and they don't want to be the one, even the Lord of Mu. Knowing that Cloud Dance is a summoner and seeing the power of Nine-Tailed Fox, what courage does he have to be like before? What's more, he was not a very stupid person. Finally, Yunwoo came to the body of Dragon Qingxia. Miss Cloud Dance, you? Pudding just wanted to ask, but suddenly thought of the current situation is too embarrassed, just afraid of Cloud Dance to say the answer is to get or not. It is very difficult to do, so just to swallow the most words. Cloud Dance and Dragon Qing Evil look at each other, gently nodded. Dragon Qing Evil smile said, "Oh, it's really troublesome." This sentence is so mindless that people can't understand it. Even some people in the square thought that Yunwoo didn't get the jade medal, so there was such a saying. Then Cloud Dance turned to the Fire Tongue and said, "Lord of Fire, I may need your help next." Pudding was thinking about the meaning of Long Qingxia's words. When he heard this sentence, he couldn't react to it. As a result, Yunwoo didn't explain it, so he went directly to the place behind the crowd against the wall. They all gave way one after another, and then they saw Yunwoo facing the crowd, with his back close to the wall and sitting cross-legged directly. With the palm of his hand turned, a jade medal appeared in the palm of his hand. "It's a jade card. It's really in her hands." Startled voice rang out, and then the crowd saw Cloud Dance fingers turning. A drop of blood dropped on the jade again. This time, the jade brand flew directly to the top of Yunwoo's head, and the visible power of the naked eye quickly poured into the top of Yunwoo's head. Cloud Dance has long closed its eyes and practiced in front of everyone. She wants to absorb the power of the jade medal. "Stop her among the crowd," the Lord of Mu City yelled with red eyes. This sound, like a bomb, fell directly into the crowd and made a lot of noise. People no longer have scruples. Crazy to the direction of Firestone Town rushed up, and Hudding finally understood what cloud dance meant. Immediately and decisively in front of the crowd behind him ordered, "Protect Miss Yunwu." Yes, loud and orderly voice sounded, and the crowd quickly surrounded the cloud dance in the middle. Those crazy people came to us in an instant. Huolinger was placed in the position closest to Yunwu to protect her. As a young lady in Huasher Town, she had many good pills on her. She could not only take care of Yunwu, but also protect herself by the way. Long Qingxie, Xiao Jiao, and Hudding disperse and lead members of Huasher Town to resist one attack. Small 9 is unambiguous. Directly open the animal body. The huge 9 tail will block that side of the solid. No matter how many people cannot rush in, let alone close to the cloud dance, even close to small 9 are difficult. The thunder element keeps flashing, a little bit ferocious, is directly split into a mass of black. But after all, Xiaojiao was only the strength of Emperor Wu. After he became a summoner, even if he opened all the beasts, he was not as powerful as before. Fortunately, although there were a large number of attackers, there were not many experts. As for Long Qingxie, it's very safe. Wuling's strength is a piece of cake to deal with these people. However, Long Qingxie didn't kill all of them. On the contrary, he had a sharp eye. All the people in Yulin Town were killed directly, while others were half dead. Some of them didn't bother to go to great trouble and let them go. Slowly, people finally found that the weakest part of the encirclement is Hudding. Listen to me, you city masters. Some of us specialize in one side. The other two are too powerful. We directly send our men to harass them. When we get the Jade Medal, we can divide the power equally. Mu City Lord Eyes Time Ruthless said, looking at in front of him, called over all the city lord, eyes quite fierce. Lord Mu is right. Someone answered. Originally, the relationship between people and Huasher Town was not bad, even much better than Yulin Town. But now, who can take care of the relationship with whom? Interest is the most important thing. Since Yulin Town is willing to join hands, it's better to join hands for the time being. The benefits can't only be taken by Flint Town. After discussion, several Wuzong rushed directly to the fire. Hudding's face sank instantly when he saw those people coming. Several city masters, do you really want to have a hard time with us in Flint Town? The voice of authority rings out. Fire Tongue, quite impolite, say, Lord of Fire, it's you who are unrighteous first. You want to embezzle the treasure and give it to outsiders. No wonder we've joined hands. Machengza squints at Hudding and says coldly, in a few words, black and white will be directly reversed. Embezzlement? Injustice first? Hudding sneered, when did I steal the treasure in Flint Town? What Miss Yunwu got by virtue of her own ability, we just protect the law for her. But you say it was taken by us in Flint Town. Even if it's embezzlement, don't forget that you agreed at the beginning that you should get it by your ability. Yes? Now if you don't get it, you're going to bully people together? Cut the crap. What about bullying you? Mu City Trunk Crisp directly tore the skin, angrily said. Fire. I advise you to get out of the way. Otherwise, do you want to be against all of us because of that person? Where do you put Flint? Hudding sneered and did not speak. I have known for a long time that talking to the Lord of Moose City is like playing the lute to a cow. The black can be said to be white. Why does he talk nonsense? In that case, we'd better do it directly. 3 huge white tails stretched out, and then in front of the crowd turned into 3 little foxes with white hair, each with bright eyes. The voice of enchantment spreads immediately. More people bully less people. Lord of Fire, I'll help you. Hudding laughed and said to Xiaojiao, who only had 5 tails, without looking back. In that case, I would like to thank Miss Jiu. Small 9 corners of the mouth a hook. Continue to take care of their own war situation. And Fire Tongue here also thoroughly fight up. The whole square of the tomb fell into chaos. With the addition of Fox, Hudding had no difficulty in dealing with the crowd. Small nine-tail split out of the small fox also has the strength of Wuzong. The use of thunder elements is also a model. The speed is very fast. Even compared with the master of Wuzong, he was quick but not slow. For a moment, he directly made the master of Mu City and his party fall into an embarrassing situation. The outside world is in chaos, but Yunwu makes himself sink down to accept the energy in the Jade card. It is said that it is the energy in the Jade brand, but what we really accept is the power of inheritance guided by the Jade brand. Gentle thunder elements and space elements don't know what method to use to become a lot more gentle. The force of elements slowly flows into their own body and flows to the four limbs. Cloud Dance can feel the strength of their own constantly enhanced. All that happened outside had nothing to do with her. She knew that the strength of those people was too low, and that Dragon Qingxia was more than enough to deal with. She had to improve her strength as soon as possible to go out to help them. On the other side, Shangguan and Nangong walk aimlessly. Where are we going? Shangguan sighed and looked at the long road ahead. At the beginning, we were scattered because of the teleportation array, so we should be able to join together towards the boundary of Mudu. Nangong leads the horse and stands beside Shangguan. He is dressed in white like a fairy. Shangguan finally vomited his breath and shook his head helplessly. But who knows where we are now, and where is the boundary of Mudu? Nangong pursed his mouth and didn't speak. It seemed that he didn't know. Anyway, find a place to rest first. Shangguan shrugged his shoulders, mounted his horse, and headed for the road. Anyway, we have to find a place to eat first, and then have a good sleep. In this way, Nangong suddenly felt his stomach empty, and his sense of fatigue suddenly made him sleepy. Then he nodded and frowned slightly. It seems that we are still far away from the place where there are people in front of us. The two of them looked at the sky and saw that the sky was already yellow. It was obvious that they were about to enter the night. Shangguan sighed, drove the horse forward a little distance, then got off the horse and sat down under a tree. Then we may spend the night here. The two men took all the things from their horses and put them on the ground. They found branches around them to set up a fire. Shangguan walked towards the woods again. Soon he came back with 2 rabbits in his hands. After a while, they managed to put the hair on the fire. Finally, they were relieved and leaned against the tree. I don't know what these people are doing. Shangguan mumbles to himself, turns his head, and looks at Nangongji. He sees Nangongji sitting by the fire roasting a hare, dazed. Seeing this, Shangguan felt his nose and baked the rabbit at ease. After a while, it was completely dark, and the whole forest was dark, except for the fire nearby. From time to time, the cry of Warcraft came from not far away, which made them both be on guard. The forest at night is the most terrible and dangerous. The two men tore the meat from the hare. It was cool in the woods at night, which made people feel that it penetrated the bone marrow. I just hope we can make it through tonight, Shangguan said, and sat down with his knees crossed. He was relieved to breathe. Nangong turned his head and frowned at the woods behind him. Why do you always feel that it's a little strange around here? Nangong said, has stood up, toward behind a dark place. Shangguan also opened his eyes, looked at the direction of Nangongji, stood up and walked towards the dark direction. Nangongji, what do you see? Shangguan frowned and asked curiously. Nangong turns his head and makes a silent gesture to Shangguan. Then he sacrifices his sword and goes on. 2 people side by side, quietly walking forward. No one said a word. Finally, they got closer and closer to the direction of the voice. Shangguan heard a loud noise in front of them, which made them look at each other and frown. They quietly approached the voice and squatted in the bush to observe. I saw a bright light ahead, and there was a camp in the woods. Countless men came and went, holding large bowls of wine, chatting and laughing, very happy. Who are these people? Shangguan asked quietly. Nangong frowned and said nothing. Well, I said, we've made a lot of money this time. When we go back, we should celebrate with the people in the tribe. A big man with bare arms went to the campfire, touched a bowl with another man, and drank it. I'm afraid that this caravan will find some experts to come and trouble us. The skinny little groom sat beside him and looked at a large group of people anxiously. In any case, this caravan is also the largest caravan in Liangjian City. They can't have predicted that. All of a sudden, a big man standing next to the coachman cursed. He kicked the coachman with a big foot and threw the weak coachman to the ground. He didn't stand up for a long time. Damn, you can't hope for a better day. Sooner or later, your mouth will kill you, the man spat and turned away. If we find what they call Liangjian City, maybe we can find the teleportation array, and we can go back to the boundary of Mudu. Shangwan said that he turned to seek the consent of Nangong Yi. Nangong Yi pursed his mouth and nodded gently. We just let them think that we are experts from Liangjianqing. The corners of his mouth lightly cocked up and said, tomorrow, people from Liangjianqing will come to look for this batch of goods, that you're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.